Treksploration.
Hello, Treksplorers! And we're live. Hello, Treksplorers, and welcome back to Treksploration. I'm Albie.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Brent.
Brent, if you are a viewer or listener of Trekaholic, another Star Trek podcast, or anywhere in the Babylon 5 fan community, you might know Brent. But Brent, you are the first. This is the first time you're meeting Chris, right?
It is.
Brent, Chris, Brent.
This is like a meet cute. I think this is like a rom-com waiting to happen, Brent.
I like that. I would watch that. I would star in that. I would be in that.
I said that just to appeal to you, Albie.
I appreciate that.
Yes.
Brent, tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you're a software developer, and you live in Langley, British Columbia?
Chilliwack
right?
Now. It used to be Langley. So, yep. But
Where is it now?
it's called Chilliwack. So we are about an hour east of Vancouver.
Okay,
That's
nice.
Everybody knows.
So tell us about yourself.
I'm software developer. I am sci-fi fanatic since I was forever. 10 probably. And yeah, I got forced to watch Star Trek by a babysitter, and after I don't know 10 episodes or more of forced to watch the show, I just started to actually enjoy watching the show, and then I found out there was more shows than Star Trek, and just kept on going.
And today that babysitter is my wife.
Living the dream.
I'm not talking about Brent. I'm talking about me.
Let's see. Yeah, Stargate. I know we both like Stargate. We both like Babylon 5.
So yeah, my top show would probably been Babylon 5. But I do love Stargate SG-1. I actually got to visit the set of that one time.
Wow.
Based on being filmed locally. And
like a location shoot, or did you actually see the gate or something?
both actually. I got 2 days on the set, 1 day in studio. So I got to go to Bridge Studios, see the actual Stargate, the walk around all the different sets. Pretty neat, very neat actually. They're filming episodes 1 through 3 of season 6, and so they were
Nice.
Yeah, they're running around, and then I got to go on out on location for 1 day. So
Did you see Michael Shanks?
I saw them all. Didn't get to talk to any though. Sadly.
Gary Jones hung out with you, had lunch with you, right?
Sadly, no.
Oh, sad face. All right. Well, I think Brent's got all the nerd cred.
Try.
Well, I don't know. He needed to take a page out of your book and just jump in front of Michael Shanks right before he's going to lunch and saying, "Hi, I'm Brent."
I would have.
So, side story there. I actually got pulled aside because I made eye contact with actually Amanda Tapping while she was filming a scene. And apparently, you're not supposed to make eye contact with the actors when they're doing a scene.
But don't they say like my eyes are up here?
So,
I don't know. I love Amanda Tapping. What was that show she was in? I paid $5 an episode to watch it blurry on the internet.
I'm guessing Sanctuary? No.
Sanctuary. Yeah,
Okay.
Sanctuary. Yeah, I love that show. Amanda Tapping. She's cool. I never finished Sanctuary. I got to. Okay, today we're talking about
live.
We're live.
Today we're talking about Star Trek: The Next Generation, Season 1, Episode 20, Heart of Glory, with Stardate 41503.7, and that's the year 2364 on the Gregorian calendar. The original air date, most likely, because there's different sources that give us different things, but most likely March 21st, 1988. The story is by Herbert Wright and D.C. Fontana. Gotta love D.C. And teleplay is by Maurice Hurley, directed by Rob Bowman. What do we do first? First impressions, Chris? Or do we do the synopsis?
Why don't we do some first impressions of this one, and then we'll do the synopsis. And we should also let everybody know who's watching on YouTube that this episode is brought to you in Visor Vision. If you have too little visual stimulation, just come tune in right now on YouTube for Visor Vision. It's so wonderful that we got to see something like that introduced in this episode because they explore it so thoroughly as the series goes on. Visor Vision.
More on that
Only
later.
on Treksploration.
More on that later. All right, why don't we start with the newbie on this show, even though he's a veteran on Trekaholic, another Star Trek podcast. Brent, what are your first impressions of Heart of Glory?
So, this is one of the episodes I think I've always just wanted to skip by because I've never really enjoyed it historically.
Wow.
I watched this thing now 5 times in a row since finding out I'm going to be on the show, and so to really get a feel for it. I actually have grown to like aspects of the episode. I kind of want to hear everybody else's thoughts, I think, before I go too deep into my details.
All
but
right.
yeah.
Chris.
Well, this sure was a Klingon episode.
First time we
I
see
joke.
them.
I kid. I believe that this is an introduction of Klingons in the next gen, right? Aside from Worf. So,
Pretty much, yeah.
yeah. Did I like it? Yeah. Another instance where the memory of it, I have a little bit of dread going in and a little bit of reticence, but as I watch it, I'm enjoying it. And I kind of lie a little bit because I did like this episode the first time I saw it. I think last year was the first time I ever saw it. So I was anxious to revisit and to see what you guys thought, because as more next gen fans than I am, I'd like to know what you guys think about this introduction of the Klingons into the next gen milieu. But we got plenty to talk about on that score. How about you, Albie?
I do agree with you that this was a Klingon episode. I didn't fear or dread going into this episode, but while watching it, I'm like, oh man, kind of icky, kind of, not quite what I remember about it. Mostly, I remember just like making guns out of boots and stuff. And the keening, is that what they call that? Where they scream up into the top of the
I have my
ship?
own term for it, but you'll hear it during the synopsis.
Okay. But I remember those two things, but it doesn't really match in with the rest of the Klingon stuff, but it does. You got to start somewhere, right? You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start before you can be great. And that's kind of it. And it'll be fun to talk about. Before we go to Chris's amazing synopsis, we have people live in the chat, and we got some comments. And let's see. Let me fix the amount of time for this. The omnipotent Willard says,
Hi, Willard.
I really needed this this week. My sister just passed away at the age of 73. Really reminds you how old we're all getting. So true, Willard.
So sorry to hear that,
Our
Willard.
condolences. That sucks. I hope we can be somewhat of a distraction for you for a little while. Willard continues, the omnipotent Willard, and he says, I went to the post office a couple of weeks ago and I got albied. Found the seeker in my post office box. Thanks.
I'm so sorry for that, Willard. I'm
It's a
so
great
sorry.
book.
Somebody put up the meme of David Tennant just saying, I'm so sorry.
Speaking of David Tennant, he said, let me guess, he's not a fan of Doctor Who, talking about Brent with his TARDIS shirt on. That's awesome. Oh, let me see it. Let me see more of it. Oh, that's cool. Is that Jodie Whittaker?
No, it's supposed to be. Well, now it kind of looks like that. Legend of Zelda: Link. So.
Oh, okay.
The video game
It's
team
hard to tell.
travels through time.
everybody
So.
small on her. Very cool little crossover thing. Yes, sorry about that, Willard, but hang with us and we'll keep you company for a few hours anyway. All right, Chris, if you could do the episode synopsis for us, the great synopsis, what everybody's looking forward to every time they tune into Treksploration. And it's for Star Trek Next Generation, Season 1, Episode 20, Heart of Glory. Original air date, March 21st, 1988. And teleplays by Maurice Hurley. And the idea, I guess, was Herbert Wright and B.C. Fontana, directed by Rob Bowman.
Maury Hurley, huh? Oof.
Yep.
Anyway, lots to say about that guy. The Enterprise rushes to a disturbance in the Klingon neutral zone, where they find evidence of a recent battle and a Talarian cargo freighter that is disabled and adrift. The warp containment field is failing, along with life support, but they pick up possible biosigns. Picard orders an away team to investigate, and Riker, Data, and Geordi beam over, but not before Geordi can announce that he will bring the visual acuity transmitter along, a device that transmits what Geordi sees back to the main view screen. What commences is a visor walkabout of the damaged ship, in which Picard expresses endless fascination over seeing things the way Geordi does. After about an hour of this, Riker is all like, hey, Cap, well, it's all good and stuff, but don't we have an episode of Star Trek to get to? And Picard is like, good point, number one, proceed. They find 3 Klingons on next-gen Klingons in engineering, one critically wounded. Data is like, this way out, and after some core breach / failing transporter drama, everyone makes it safely back to the Enterprise. Tasha, who for some reason has been directed to operate the transporter, is like, boy, that was a sticky situation. Picard hightails it to sickbay with Worf in tow, and the Klingons introduce themselves. I'm Chorus, says the boss Klingon, and this is Con Mel, and never mind the dying guy over there. We were hitching a ride with the Tellarians, minding our own business, when we were attacked by Ferengi. We destroyed them with our superior Klingon skills, but took heavy damage in the process, and that's when you found us. Picard is like, that story doesn't really add up, but Chorus is like, hey, bro, we're hungry, we're tired, can this wait? Picard nods and sends Worf off with them to make them comfortable. Worf brings them to guest quarters, and what follows is a Klingon bro-off over a meal of what looks like steamed ravioli and raw pig's knuckles. Chorus and Con Mel get Worf's backstory, and so do we, for the first time, I think, and then proceed to taunt him for being soft like a human. Worf is like, nah, bruh, I'm Klingon. If only there was occasion to growl roar so I could prove it to you. So it's lucky for Worf that Klingon Extra 3 is dying. As he passes, Chorus, Con Mel, and Worf give the growl roars of all growl roars, proclaiming to the heavens that a Klingon warrior is coming. Look busy. Now that Worf has proven himself a true warrior, Chorus comes clean. We weren't attacked by Ferengi. We stole the Tellarian scow to light out for the galaxy and find glory and honor, like in the pillaging days of yore, before this treaty with the Federation stifled us. We destroyed another Klingon ship in our attempt to escape. And say, can you give us a detailed tour of engineering? Well, figure, sure, what could happen? And points out all the Enterprise's cool abilities and vulnerabilities. Meanwhile, the bridge has made contact with the Klingon vessel, and the captain is all like, deliver those renegades to us. Picard attempts to make it so, and Tasha leads a security contingent to round them up. As security confronts the trio, Chorus and Con Mel try to talk Worf over to their Worf over to their side. A clearly torn Worf hesitates long enough to give a toddler time to wander into the scene and into Chorus's arms. Before the obvious hostage situation can go down, Chorus hands the kid to Worf and surrenders. Tasha takes a deep breath and says, boy, that was a sticky situation. But she doesn't know the half of it. Once detained, Chorus and Con Mel make a stealth phaser out of their belt buckles and shoelaces, shooting their way out of the brig. Con Mel is killed in the skirmish, and Chorus bolts to engineering, where he threatens to blast the dilithium matrix and blow up the ship. He wants the Enterprise's drive section, and he wants Worf to come with him. What follows is a flowery exchange about honor and defeating the enemy within and leaving the past behind, and Chorus is like, you're no Klingon after all. And Worf is like, oh yeah? And shoots Chorus dead. As Chorus lay dying, Worf leans over him and gives the dramatic last growl roar. Back on the bridge, the Klingon commander is like, hey, Worf, I like the cut of your jib. When you're done with Starfleet, come and join us. Worf is like, I'll think about it, but then turns to Picard grinning and saying, wink. The end.
The end.
The end.
Or is it?
Or is it?
Yeah. Wow. Was that hard to do, Chris, that one?
No, I mean, I watched most of it last night before I fell asleep, and then I finished it today. So some of it was brewing already. It was just, it's always like figuring out the names and stuff, but this one only had like the 2 guest stars. So it was a lot easier. It wasn't like a cast of thousands.
No, it was just the 3. Vaughn Armstrong. That was the main thing about this episode. It's weird because I'll just start with this, that the Klingon sounded very, I don't know, it was like proper English and Vaughn Armstrong's voice, and it was like the universal translator was just set to not Klingon.
What year did this come out?
88.
88. So had we seen Undiscovered Country yet, or was it still like...
No.
Okay, so what Klingons have we? Just Krug?
Yeah, just part 1 and 2 maybe?
Wait, so not even Search for Spock? Search for Spock certainly was out by this point.
3 was 87,
Yeah.
I want to say. At least.
Yeah, so I have to think that does this presage Christopher Plummer's take, like with Colonel Chang or General Chang, and just that sort of that flowery Klingon verbosity. Oh my God, you think I can talk? Jesus, with the Klingons. Holy moly, can they talk? Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, I guess we could go on and on and on. But before we do, we always forget to do this in the right order. I think we should have done the synopsis, then the first impressions, and then ask everybody out there who's watching and who's listening to tell us what you think of this episode. We'd love to hear from you. why don't you hit us up on our YouTube channel? That's youtube.com/@Treksploration, where you can comment in the comment section down below. You can comment right now if you're watching us live. You can also find us on Patreon at patreon.com/Treksploration. Find us on the gram at Treksploration Pod and Blue Sky Social at Treksploration.
Blue sky,
TikTok us, TikTok at Treksploration. Email treksplorationpod@gmail.com. And you can buy us a coffee, buymeacoffee.com/Treksploration. And you can send us a coffee at P.O. Box 542, Bayport, New York, 11705. Please just put it in a sealed container. I don't want to have to be mopping coffee out of the post office box. That's P.O. Box 542, Bayport, New York, 11705. And we want to thank all of you who are listening, who are watching, and we especially need to thank our intrepid crew of Trek Explorers. That includes our lifetime member, the omnipotent Willard.
The omnipotent Willard,
who is now also so omnipotent that he is also a cadet. Cadet Willard.
Cadet Willard.
He's supporting us now for $5 a month. That's the
like
cadet level on,
which is above and beyond the above and beyond.
Yes, Patreon.
But omnipotence. It's good to be omnipotent.
You can't get enough of us, apparently. Yeah. We also want to thank Listen Linda, our other cadet, our 1701 Lieutenant Commander Scott Seligman, and Cosplay Dad, and of course, I haven't heard from him in a while, but our Captain Charles from Texas. Captain Charles, nice to see you, Charles.
Captain Charles on the bridge.
So, yes, and we'd like to thank all of them and all of you as well, our free patrons who have joined us over on the Patreon community, and everybody who has subscribed to us on the YouTubes. Thank you so much for liking, for subscribing. Please share the show with your friends. And like I said, tell us what you think. Send us your photo. We'll put you in the credits.
Yes, send us your photo. We need a photo of you, Brent, in front of the Stargate for our end credits.
Brent, do you have your very own Stargate?
I wish.
I'm currying the wrong friends.
So I have the 3D printer, and it's actually been one of the things I've been wanting to make is a moving Stargate.
Oh, that would be awesome. Is the STL out there somewhere?
Yep.
I'm sure. Question: when they tore down the sets, when they struck the sets, were you like me and just go in the garbage can and grab as much as you can?
I would love to.
Wow. I mean, that sounds like Skip. Oosh, I can't say that. Never mind. All I know is there was a cell, and it wasn't the Saga cell.
It wasn't the Saga cell.
Anyway, Skip to my Lou, my darling. We have some feedback.
I did not check the email. Sorry. So if you send an email, that'll be in the next show. I was doing this quickly while I was watching episodes and showering. And
we're really, really bad at keeping up with this kind of stuff, but we'll do it eventually. We'll get you. And I have to say, I don't know who might have listened or if you have listened yet or not, but I had a ball doing Gold Press Latinum Cab. That was a fantastic idea, Albie. I didn't realize that it was even going to be a show. You just said, hey, when are you going to be free? I just thought it was you and Rennie going to call me and say hello. And all of a sudden, I'm in the middle of a trivia contest kicking your butts.
Yep. Serenity and I are very yes end. So we were just driving and we thought, oh, that'd be great. Oh, we should do this. Oh, that. Oh, let's not tell them. And that's what we did.
Where were you driving to and from, or what was the deal?
We were coming back from Atlanta towards Florida. I won't say exactly where we are, where we were.
I think that's pronounced Hotlanta.
Yeah, it was a great trip to Atlanta. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Well, it's been weeks, right? So I guess
many weeks.
Before feedback or after feedback, do we talk about what we've done in the meantime?
I don't know. Like I said, it's been so many weeks. You'd think that we'd have this show down by now, but that's part of the fun.
It is part of the fun. The organized disorganization.
It's free falling.
What have you done since we last did the show? Not including Gold Press Latinum Cab, but the one before that, I think was it the Prodigy one?
Yeah, probably with the beautiful John Irons.
The beautiful John Irons.
Yeah, well, I mean, since I have started, it was concurrently. I'm part of a new show now, not Treksploration. I've been participating finally after all the years of wanting to do it in a sort of like a real play podcast. It's not a D&D one, which is what I always dreamed of, although I am in a D&D campaign right now as well. But my friend Rick Tatro, who is also a giant Star Trek fan and is one of the hosts over on the Infinite Potato Alliance. That's Sean's network, where that Star Trek podcast is broadcast.
Great Sean, right?
Many other shows, Captain Game Show, John Show is over there. he started a Call of Cthulhu real play podcast called Unspeakable. I think it's called Unspeakable. I should
Is that
probably
the thing
know.
that kind of looks like that, or am
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
kind of like that. Yeah, it's funny because I saw like a charm, like a bracelet, and I said, "Is that Cthulhu?" Because it had like a Jewish star, a cross, and it looked like uh, tentacle being, but they said that was like the hand of something, the hand Monos, the hand of fate. I don't know. So I'm probably disrespecting somebody's belief system and or religion, but I don't mean
Our
to.
apologies.
I'm just ignorant.
Yeah, aren't we all?
Yes, it's called Unspeakable, a Call of Cthulhu actual play podcast. So I'm playing an
Wow.
investigator, investigating the disappearance of a couple of people along with a band of other explorers. And it's fun for me because I've never played a game like this before. It's much more investigatory. It's not so much like, roll for initiative and start swinging your sword. It's more cerebral. It's kind of like cosplaying, not even cosplaying, kind of like role playing Supernatural. That's the way I look at it. Like I pretend I'm one of the Winchester boys.
Very
And
cool.
I go on because that's the other thing I've been doing. I mean, Lorik still cannot get enough Supernatural. We just watch like 4 episodes of Supernatural every night. That's my life.
What's the last episode you watched?
We're in season 10.
Oh, wow.
Something with Rowena, and they were in a house trying to get a codex out of a safe from the Men of Letters, and there was like a spell trying to make them kill themselves. Dean was back in purgatory with Benny, and Sam was seeing Rowena. She wasn't really there, and some lady shot herself in the head. It was, gruesome, like
sounds
Supernatural is. Yeah, and Cass got his grace back.
Season
So
10.
I got another one too. So spoiler alert: Cass gets his grace back.
Season 10, you're halfway through. That's nice.
How about you? I've spoken enough.
Brent, let's find out. Brent, since last you were on the pod, the
wow.
other pod, you said you moved.
Yeah,
That's cool.
Moved. I had kids.
Congratulations.
Yeah, they're
2,
like
3,
Good
2,
for you.
right?
5 and 8 now. So
Oh, okay. So you got 13 kids.
actually, I guess I probably had the first one when we did the podcast. But
I think so. You're tired.
yeah, always.
You still tired? Did you get any
Always.
sleep yet?
No, I
No.
no, I parent and I work, so I sleep whenever there's time in between.
Oh,
Cool. So, everything's going good.
so you don't sleep is what you're
Oh,
telling
pretty
me.
much.
Yeah, I only sleep half the week, so I only sleep a lot that half of the week.
But yeah, let's see, shows. I have been actually doing a big rewatch of Star Trek, actually, funny enough, thanks to this podcast series. So I actually finished the series. I'd moved on to about Deep Space Nine, finished that, and I'm about halfway through
Nice.
Voyager now.
Nice. Love Voyager.
Yeah.
I'm representing the Voyager tonight. I got my Captain Proton Hawaiian shirt on. This was hard to find. I think it was, I want to say Quantum Mechanics or one of those kind of companies came out with it, and it was sold out by the time I ordered it, so I had to find it on the secondary market, but I ended up finding it, which was cool.
Yeah, and surprise, when we're not watching Supernatural, when Laura finally goes to bed, and I'm like, oh, I can turn it off. I have been working my way through the first season of Enterprise. Shocker, I know. So I've been watching a lot of ENT lately.
That's a great thing. I just watched all of season 1 of Severance. I forget who recommended it to me. I don't know if it was a real person.
I know maybe we discussed
not.
it. I mean, I
Maybe.
saw this the first season, but I don't recall discussing it recently, and I don't even know it's almost like thinking back to a Klingon episode. I enjoyed it in a moment, but I don't know if I'd recommend it now that so much time has passed.
Yeah, it was good. Season 1 was good. I started season 2. I'm on episode 1 of season 2. I just finished that. And I wasn't sold at first, but by the end, I was like, okay, I could do this. I could do another season. So I'm going to watch that next couple days, season 2. But yeah, we went to Atlanta. We took a trip. Of course, we stopped at our favorite place, Disney World.
Shocker.
We did 3 days at Disney World because I realized I had Rennie like 3 or 4 days before our scheduled vacation trip for her school meeting event in Atlanta, Georgia. So we went 3 days of Disney, which was great, of course. And then it was a road trip to Atlanta, and we had just a blast. She's part of a homeschool thing that's online, and it's like a university, but for middle school kids and high school kids. And so it was a big meetup of all the homeschool kids. So like a bunch of geniuses, trying to see how far they could count digits of pi and such. They party like rock stars. But we had a great time, and we visited like the Martin Luther King Museum. They have a reflecting pool where they're interned. I think it's called. And then let's see what else we did. We saw his childhood home. Oh, and that was something cool. Rennie got a wooden junior park ranger badge from the park ranger that is in control of Dr. King's childhood home, which is really cool because she was knowledgeable about chess. And
that
he was
just
using
comes up.
chess to explain the family of Dr. King. So that was fun. And then, of course, we went to the world's largest, at least at one time, aquarium in Atlanta, and that was fun.
Brent, didn't you think he was going to say ball of twine?
I had no idea. I was thinking peanut or something random. Frying pan?
The largest ball of twine in Minnesota is on our bucket list. But we couldn't go up that far because we only had a few days. I used half of her vacation days that I get in combination with the days that I normally have her to get like 10 days with her. So that's all we had, and we were driving. So, but we filmed that Gold Press Platinum cab, and that was really fun.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. So do more like that because it requires no prep on my part, and I can just sit on my couch.
Yeah, you were saying so we should do something where you don't have to do any prep, and then we just called you like, surprise, you're on the air.
First time, long time?
Yep, exactly. All right, so feedback. Do we got some feedback?
Oh, yeah, I think we do. The For Gold Plus Platinum Cab. Good segue. Listen, Linda, our cadet, writes, according to Memory Alpha, Lieutenant Lisa was on the episode Turnabout Intruder. She was the court reporter in Spock's court-martial for mutiny when Janice Lester takes over Kirk's body. Oh. So I guess they gave her a little bit more of a role. Like, why wouldn't they give that? That was, by the way, a question on the Gold Press Platinum cab. Who was the communications officer in Turnabout Intruder? And I, of course, had to guess Uhura because I knew while it wasn't Uhura, I couldn't remember a damn thing. But if you have like this Lieutenant Lisa and she's doing the stenography and everything for the mutiny trial, why wouldn't you give that to Nichelle? I guess maybe Nichelle just wasn't available for that day.
Maybe.
I don't know. I wonder if there's a bigger story there. I wonder if her affair with Jean got out and Madgel's like, she ain't coming to set. They're all dead, right? Nobody can sue me for saying that. So, I don't know. Is it too soon, Albie?
Says, loves Severance. I just watched the finale. Okay. No spoilers.
All right. I can't even remember how it ended.
Season 2, did you watch?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
Yeah,
just
again,
dropped, I think.
I'm just not. Yeah.
That's the only reason I even know of the show. I keep seeing the ads.
Yeah, it's different.
It's high concept.
Yeah. I like the tech. The retro tech, the alt tech, very low key like. Yeah, so now we know who Lisa is. Lieutenant
Lisa cult champ.
Exactly.
All right, we have Stacy and Dave, Corman Productions. This is for Coming of Age, which was the Wesley Gets into Starfleet Academy. We gushed over that one, man. I was listening to it, and boy, Sandy, if you haven't heard it yet, go back and listen. You're going to be so proud of yourself. Anyway, I mean, according to us, you deserve all the accolades.
And it's not just because we're friends that we love the episode. We really do.
So Corman Productions writes, and I'm guessing it's Susie Q. Nice shirt, Albie. TV Deep Dive Podcast. I think this episode is a decent first season TNG episode. I guess you're wearing the Corman Productions t-shirt. Mine is over there.
I got the green one. You got the gray one? Charcoal kind of thing?
Mine is sort of greenish.
Okay, it's hard to tell.
Greenish grayish. Yeah.
I don't have visor vision. More on that later.
Visor Vision. This episode brought to you by Visor Vision.
Oh my.
And Corman TV Productions. Corman Productions for the TV Deep Dive Podcast on many shows, including Quantum Leap.
Yes.
I'm going to listen to their Gilmore Girls show.
Yeah, they're pretty
I'm
good.
going to assume they have a Gilmore Girls show.
Groundhog Day one. That was a good one.
Right. And Linda, we keep doing this to you. She's writing, I actually watched these episodes, Prodigy 1 and 2, when we did the Prodigy. I think we might have read that. No, we didn't, right? Because we haven't done anything since. Anyway.
Yeah, 2 weeks. No. I think 2 weeks ago I was traipsing around the globe.
Oh, you know what we forgot? Did we mention that we did a whole other podcast, you and me, Albie?
Oh yeah, we did.
Right?
We did
We'll get around to it
Sugi's
eventually.
podcast, Damon's podcast, Fandom Entanglement, and we did the one on sliders, and it's coming out soon. I'm not sure when. If Sugi's in the audience, let us know the exact date. But yeah, we both guested on that. Talk a little bit about that, Chris.
Yeah, it was the first episode with the Chromax.
Chromax on sliders.
Just talking about one episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know us, it was a 4-hour extravaganza.
Yeah. They normally do one. We did 4 because that's us.
Another show filmed around here.
They were trying to. Yeah, it was. They were trying to go through it like in order, kind of like with a fast pace. But I just kept. And then finally, Chris said, "You have to just stop recording. Albie will go on forever." And that's how the episode ended. So. We got some feedback from Sugi, didn't we?
Yeah. He was talking about Coming of Age 2, the Wesley Starfleet episode. It feels like it's been ages since I left feedback. It's great having both of you back talking about TNG. I guess we do leave for big, long gaps. But anyway, like much of seasons 1 and 2, it's been some time since I last saw these episodes. Your discussions bring back some of my memories, and I do remember enjoying this episode as well. I'm also in the pro-Wesley camp. I never really understood all the hate and flack his character received either. The conspiracy angle was a nice attempt at early serialized storytelling for TNG, which is something I can appreciate. From what I understand, conspiracy was originally meant to lead into the introduction of the Borg as more of an insectoid species, but once they were redesigned into a cybernetic life form, the storyline was dropped. That's more of a discussion for when you guys get to conspiracy in 1-25, 6 episodes from now. I guess 5 episodes from now. Glad you are both feeling better and looking forward to more Star Trek discussions. Keep up the great work, guys. Damon. Thank you, Damon.
Yeah, Chris was a little under the weather, but better now, right?
Yeah, we're not talking about our health anymore. We did that too. Become the old man gripe bitching about their health podcast.
How are you feeling, Brent? You were a little under the weather too.
Yeah, Brendis, you can bitch. You still have you still have a little bit of cheddar in there. You got some capital.
I'm better-ish. Sickest I've ever been in my life. I got sick in November when turned bronchitis. Went to pneumonia. Went back to bronchitis. Found out I had strep throat at some point in there.
Oh, I hate strep.
Jesus, there's something like you think you feel bad now. Wait till Albie mails you a copy of The Seeker.
So just put that right into the trash.
No, it's a great book. It's like Indiana Jones, but with time travel. It's awesome.
That sounds fun.
Anyway.
So all good, but that was a nice.
I'm sorry to hear that, bro. Jesus.
Oh, like I said, sickest I've ever been. It was scary.
Maybe maybe we're just using it all up now, and we won't be sick for like.
We're all gaining our immune systems back after 2 years of being scared of everything.
So I always thought I had a great immune system. Then I had kids, and I realized no, I just don't lick. I just don't lick the playground or something like that.
Yes, they're petri dishes. They
Yeah,
are.
I guess so. Susie Q commented.
Yeah, what do we got?
We did not cover Gilmore Girls, Chris. I've actually never seen it, Chris. Me neither, Susie. But we do cover Scott Preston on Sullivan's Crossing. I don't know what that means. Scott Patterson. I don't know who that is or who Sullivan is. Any comments from the Corman production account are always going to be Dave. So why are you even bothering me if it's Dave?
Yeah, Susie Stacy, Q's Never Ending Jewelry podcast, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
thank you,
Stace.
Stace.
From Dave. Yeah, it was a cool shirt. Thanks for sending it.
Yeah, and thank you, Dave.
Gilmore Girls, I would listen to that. I think the Gilmore Girls podcast I listen to sometimes. Gilmore Guys, maybe.
I think that's.
I don't know. I mean, I've never seen Gilmore Girls, but it just happened to be on. It just happened to be on in the waiting room at work when I was there today. So I said, "Oh, Gilmore Girls," and then of course it comes up on my stupid feed on my phone.
Yeah, because they listen. They always listen.
Yeah, it's listening, and you know why? It knows that I'm watching Supernatural because it's listening. So it's stories about Jared Padalecki on Gilmore Girls. Anyway,
that's cool.
It's just the way the world works these days.
Yeah, I love Gilmore Girls.
It was one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's a great show. If once you get finished with Supernatural, maybe go through that. Brent, what are they filming up by you lately?
I honestly don't know anymore. I know I keep seeing the signs. So they always put the little rectangles out on the street lights and that to say like ABC or something. And that's
do they do like fake titles like Blue Harvest kind of thing?
Yeah, it's they just have acronyms usually, so you don't know what they're filming. But you drive around and you see usually they're in colors, so you see a green one or a red one, and then sometimes they have arrows. And that just
you see them like do they got to redress street signs and stuff to make them look American?
No, they don't tend to do a lot. I noticed that watching the shows, they don't tend to do a lot of that when they film, but they do some. Like the Langley Hospital. My dad was in there 20 years ago, and he's like, they changed the sign, and I look out the window, and it's Smallville Medical Center. And
Nice.
the whole front of the hospital. Didn't even know. I walked right under it, right in, and didn't even notice the whole front of the hospital had a relabel.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. It's funny because I know Supernatural shot up in Canada, or was, and I look at the fire hydrants especially. They're always like red and blue instead of yellow like they are here, yellow and silver. So it's just I try to look for little anachronisms there, but it's hilarious that you went to the Smallville Hospital. They shot a lot of stuff in that hospital.
Oh,
That was like a perennial set for that show.
yeah, and the whole like the area, because the Greater Vancouver area, you within about a 2 hour drive, you can be in like on Whistler in the mountains. You can be in the city. Vancouver's still a fairly pretty city, so you got that. They also got on the water, and then you go the other way. You can be almost like a desert type area, about 8 months of the year. So you kind of they can film a lot of different sets, and then just all the forests. So
There you go.
that's why Stargate's always out in some jungle planet or
I
something.
want to go to that forest where Stargate is. I'm sure you do sometimes. Right?
There are websites that dedicated to listing all the locations, and
I remember you had a website or two in the day
oh yeah,
about Stargate. Omnipotent Willard says, let's see if I can click the button correctly. There we go. I'm all in with Scott Patterson, a Gilmore Girls rewatch podcast. Cool.
Yeah, there you go.
I did not know that one existed. So
All right, and then Stacy gave us a little bit more Scott information. Scott Patterson played Luke on Gilmore Girls.
Oh, Luke!
And is the dad, Sully Sullivan, on the show we cover, Sullivan's Crossing. So there is a synergy there for them. Gotcha.
CW.
There's a crossover. Lots of
too.
CW. I watched the premiere of Smallville the other day. I know why, because I've been listening to Michael Rosenbaum's podcast, Inside of You.
Oh, Inside You?
Yeah,
He's good.
and I think I heard an episode with Tom Welling, so I said, "Oh, let me rewatch the and it was as mediocre as I remembered."
That was one of my journalistic highlights, talking to him.
I gotta tell you, I don't know who was more beautiful, Kristen Corick or Tom Welling. Jeez,
Yes.
those are too easy on the eyes, people. Anyway, are we talking about Klingons? Speaking of easy on the eyes,
Yeah. Wow. What if the Klingons just showed up in an episode of Gilmore Girls and Rory has to decide who to date? The hot boy at the school or a Klingon?
she'd probably go with a Klingon.
Probably. I
Just
think
to
she went
be-
with the Wookiee eventually, right? They
just
don't
be
live on
arbitrary.
Endor, do they?
And now I got to watch Gilmore Girls.
You do got to watch Gilmore Girls.
Now Dave and Stacy have to watch Gilmore Girls.
Everybody's got to watch Gilmore Girls. Come on. It's one of the best shows ever.
It's smartly smartly
The
written.
writing.
Yeah, very well
I
written.
enjoy writing. I don't care the
You-
genre. If
you
the writing's
find-
good, I'll watch it.
It changed people behind it in the final season or final 2 seasons. And so
The Netflix seasons or the
no,
original?
Netflix went back to the original people,
That's why it was so good. And
Yeah.
it's like, I want to know what else happens.
but the final season I know was done by somebody else, and there was a lot of fans were less impressed with that final season. I think.
I enjoyed it.
Anyway,
Without going down
But
the
all
whole thing.
things.
Yeah.
I like things. Okay, where are we, Chris? What
I
are we
try
doing?
to always like
Talk about
everything.
Klingons, right?
yeah. I just want to know. I mean, as longtime Star, I don't really know about your Star Trek bona fides, Brent. I know that you were on with Albie, but I mean, and you've been watching DS9 and Voyager. What is your favorite Trek?
I grew up with Next Gen, so that was my first Trek.
And did you
So-
have experience with the original series before that, or just was
After.
that babysitter Next Gen?
It was Next
and-
Gen, so it was
and
Next
that was
Gen.
it.
To me, when I hear Star Trek, my brain goes Next Gen, and then original is the original series.
Right. Okay.
So Next Gen, and so my first, I watched myself from the very first episode with DS9, and I always loved DS9. But Next Gen was the one I looked forward to every week. And I usually had the VCR set to record it just in case I missed it or I could rewatch it.
So were the Klingons an all new thing to you because you didn't have any grounding in the original series or the movies aside from that weird guy behind the horseshoe
So
who occasionally growled?
So my first memory of Star Trek Next Gen in general was seeing it like I think at a friend's house. Their dad was watching it or something, and I remember this guy with like a Mars bar melted on his head, and thinking about who the hell's that, um, and what a weird looking show this is, and never cared. And then we started watching it, and I just remember I want to say when I started watching it, it was probably season 2, maybe 3, and kind of watching those, and I'm like, this isn't half bad, and then probably had a more sciencey type episode or maybe a Wesley one, and I really liked it. And then just kind of okay, I'm gonna watch the next one, and then I started to really like it. And yeah, just then I started watching it myself, and then trying to because I was already into the series. I think I'd already met Klingons, Romulans, kind of everything. So then
Right.
then it was a matter of trying to find reruns to watch all the classics, like their original series and just the original season 1 and 2 of Next Gen.
Yeah, because they weren't readily available at that time. We keep
No.
forgetting the
No,
streaming environment
the
is
difference though back
relatively
then
new.
was reruns. Like Saturday morning there would be 2 episodes on like the Space Channel or Sci-Fi Channel or whatever.
Yep.
So I'd slowly be able to catch up over time. But usually they aired them out of order. So you'd see like season 1, episode 15 one day, and then season 2, episode 5 the next day or something.
I noticed though that sometimes when they did that, they would do them so like if they had 2 on back to back, they wouldn't be back to back, but they would be like season 1, episode 5, season 7, episode 3, and then the next day would be season 1, episode 6, season episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like they for whatever reason they did it that way. So is DS9 is your jam
DS9's,
for the
I
most
think,
part?
in the grand scheme, that's the one I still love the most.
Gotcha. I guess the reason I ask is because for me, Klingons are a fait accompli. They've been on the movies, and this to me is got to be if you're a next gen fan, and this is the first exposure to Klingons you've had since Krug, or since I guess who was the last one we saw Kang on Day of the Dove, right? That was the last time we saw Klingons in the original series, and then maybe Mark Leonard's brief appearance in the motion picture. So, Albie, I guess maybe this is a question for you then. I mean, as someone that knew the original series, was it exciting to see finally like Klingons return to the small screen with Nick
I
Sheen?
never cared for Klingons. Like I didn't dislike them, but I didn't like them, so I don't think I would have been excited. I don't remember. It was decades ago, but Klingons never did anything for me really. I enjoyed them in Star Trek 6. I enjoyed Christopher Lloyd.
He's hard not to enjoy.
That bodybuilder Klingon chick in what was it, 5?
That was
Yeah.
5.
I liked her muscles. Woo.
Shocker.
But other than that, I've never been a fan.
So, yeah, and I guess that brings me to a larger question. Do you want to talk a little bit more about next gen Klingons, or do you want to talk about the Worf thing? It all come together, but I think we all expressed a little bit of reticence when we came on to Mike about the prospect of rewatching this. And when it comes to Klingons, Next Gen went in full bore, like just so much Klingon stuff that after a while, and then they brought it into DS9, and it's
I enjoyed it more in Deep Space Nine. I enjoyed it more in Deep Space Nine than on Next Gen.
Well, they had the changelings and Gowron.
Yeah.
I'm just curious to know, like, when you saw that it was going to be a Klingon episode, were you excited to learn more about the lore and the culture, even though you didn't like Klingons? But you're getting into the show, you're getting to this universe, you're getting into Worf as a character. So, when you see written by Ronald D. Moore and you're like, oh, this is going to be Klingon heavy. Was that a good thing? Was it a bad thing?
I think rewatching it, I stress about Klingon episodes coming up because I'm not going to really enjoy them because they're basically the same episode over and over again with slight changes. But at the time watching them live, I always gave it a chance and I found things in them.
Okay.
But on rewatches, it's just like too much for me. It's just the same thing over and over again. What about you, Brent?
So if I went at this trying to go with the mindset of never seen anything but the 19 episodes prior, I'm going in watching it, maybe even no original series. We have not met Klingons yet this season. Like we're at the end of the season, and all we know is Worf. And Worf so far has been this guy standing at the back of the back. Every once in a while he goes on an away mission with them. Seems to fill in for Tasha when she's busy. But otherwise, he's a kind of an extra character they have that they wanted the Klingon, but they didn't know what to do with him. And then, so this is the first time we see real, I guess, other Klingons. And so it's like, wow, we actually get, and then I think, if anything, like this is a Worf episode. This is all about Worf. Is trying to actually give him the backstory. We finally find out he's an orphan. We kind of have that backstory about who they are, what's going. They've had that peace treaty now with the Federation. If you hadn't seen the movies or anything else, the last we saw season or in original series, they were the enemy. So now, now we find out they have a treaty with the Federation, and then these are Klingons who are unhappy about that. They want they want a war. They want the battle again. So
Yeah,
it's kind of a neat take on it. Yeah, but knowing what you also know coming forward, their prosthetics feel like right off the prosthetics to me look mediocre compared to what they become.
It's funny that you say that because I always hated Worf's prosthetics, especially in the first couple of seasons, and I always wondered why they never gave him the long Klingon hair. They do eventually, but it stands out so starkly against these clearly cinematic designed Klingons from the TOS films, which is because those are the costumes they had in stock. I mean, that might have been Christopher Lloyd's costume on and it just the dichotomy of the way that they make Worf look so different. And then they get these guys. And I think you're right. Like the prosthetics were a little bit obvious, but I think they were okay. They reminded me of the Disco and now the Strange New Worlds prosthetics, which to me are just like too plastic. Like they just look fake.
Something glued on the head.
Yeah. They just look like a helmet. And these were actually marginally better than that. So I don't know if it's that maybe HD doesn't do these makeup effects any favors. I don't know.
Probably. I did like seeing the uniform. Like, do you see that costume? And I'm like, that is the Klingon uniform defined for the rest of the series. Like,
yeah, it never changes.
It was cool. Other than the disassembled gun everywhere. Those were added on.
I kind of like that.
Yeah, it was cool. That was, like I said, the one thing I remembered about this episode pretty much. I guess if the weapon's disassembled, it's kind of like a ghost phaser where the computer doesn't recognize it as a weapon when they transport or something.
Yeah, I mean, can you make it out of just what you have, or do you need two Klingons and a dead one whose whose boot hook you steal or whatever?
Yeah,
that's what my thought was. Maybe they split it between two people, or three, so it doesn't get caught.
Yeah, I mean, but then you got to figure what good is. Well, I guess that's if you're going to be facing an enemy, because I guess then every Klingon would know that every other Klingon has stealth phaser technology secreted about their person. So just as long as you're not caught with, three other Klingons alone, I guess you're okay.
I guess you need three.
But I liked that twist in this. So I'm sorry, I keep interrupting.
Me? You always interrupt me or I'll keep talking. Were they planning on getting caught? Is that why they have that?
I think that maybe that's why they acquiesced to being caught so easily. Not that they're planning, but they probably always have it just as a contingency. I mean, they're a warrior race. It kind of makes sense that they would have stealth weapons secreted about their person.
And these three were like renegades, or like they were on the run, so they probably had a feeling they would get caught. It
also helps, I guess, justify some of the more clunky aspects of these costumes, especially like the kiss boots. I mean, it's like special guest star Gene Simmons. It's just those boots are so ridiculous, especially the dumb points on the end. But they actually gave them, I guess, those were the heads for the phaser or whatever.
Yeah,
so it's like
LED light things.
Yeah, it gives it a purpose, and those giant belt buckles, and I guess at least they gave them a meaning. I don't know what the stupid belt buckles in the motion picture were to this day. I guess I could look in the book I have up there and see. I'm sure they explained it in the book, but
maybe they're all like disruptor thing.
Right. So yeah,
so they're cosplaying Kiss. They might be big Kiss fans. In real life, I think they should have made two props. The assembled one that was kind of like riggedy, but then like one that was sturdy. But like throughout the whole episode, when they're holding it, it's just falling apart and shaking.
I like that too because it's a little bit more realistic.
Yeah, yeah.
Makes the situation a little more desperate. So
I have a question. Now, Worf was telling his backstory, and I thought Worf grew up on Earth with his parents.
Didn't
but they're
we all?
talking about a farming colony here. This is one of the things that maybe they didn't carry forward. Either one of you know anything about that?
The farming colony was called. I had it here somewhere.
I didn't
Had
know
it here somewhere. Had it here somewhere. It was that farming colony.
Yeah, the farming colony.
Yeah,
but
that
I remember that was maybe they after the farming colony they went back to Earth. I don't know.
Maybe that's how they
That ever
retcon
stated?
it. But yeah, it's always been stated forward to this, I believe, that he was, I think, raised by his family on Earth.
Mhm.
So,
And not just a Federation colony, which would be different.
yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and when you actually meet his dad in that later episode, I think his dad was not a Federation officer. I think he was all about starships. So because that's
Yeah,
Starship
many
War.
charts and diagrams and stuff.
It was the farming colony on Galt.
Galt.
So that's one thing that I guess they retconned as the series went on. But he did have a foster brother, so I guess what was his
Yep.
Nikolai?
Nikolai,
Paulie?
Human, Paul.
Chenko.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's cool that they're writing maybe this throwaway line, but they based the whole character and the arc of him on this, which carried through so many Star Trek series and episodes, movies.
You talking about Nikolai Rishenko? Oh,
Well,
Worf.
just Worf in general, like they did the little backstory, and I wouldn't think at the time they thought anything much of it other than what for the episode, but they were able to take that and build it into a whole life for the guy.
I was wondering when he saw these Klingons. Are these the first Klingons he's ever met in person?
They make
It
it
seemed like
come across that way.
But they ask him, "You haven't spent much time among our people, have you?" And he says, "No, not much." So I got to think that maybe he's seen like a Klingon liaison. Maybe he had like a Klingon social worker
Well-
saying it's okay that you want to murder that kid. That's in your blood as they go on and on about this episode, but we'll talk about that.
So I can't think of a specific event, but I feel like there's somewhere even in the Deep Space Nine one where it's mentioned he's spent time with Klingons. Like his parents took him somewhere there for one of his teen ascension ceremonies or something like that. Like he did something with Klingons, but wasn't really accepted. I feel like that was somewhere in everything I've ever watched or read, but whether that was actually canon or not, maybe not.
Yeah.
I was thinking he was having adventures with poetry and biting in the holodeck, maybe.
Could be. I wonder if do they have holo technology outside of a starship?
I don't know. Well, see, that's another thing about this is they hadn't met the Romulans again yet. They're not sure what Klingons are, and they're not sure if they're calling the Ferengi, and like it was like they don't really know much about the rest of space. It's like they're still learning, and then like in a few years, everybody knows everything about everything, and it just seems like it doesn't go together.
Yeah, that was an odd turn because they said, "Are you the only Klingon in Starfleet?" And Worf is like, "That I know of." Don't you think you'd know?
That allowed them to have the opening to bring in the second Klingon in next season if Michael Dorn didn't resign or something.
I guess, yeah. It's like Sonak before the transporter accident.
Listen, Linda says, I thought it was funny every time Riker said Klingons with such disdain. It would seem like people were being racist against Klingons in this episode to me a little bit.
Well, to me, it was two things. I thought it was neat that they just rushed to the neutral zone, and then there's not this ominous moment where they decide to go into the neutral zone, like the Kobayashi Maru, where they have to rescue the ship that's in distress. They just go in. So that already, that's showing, not telling, right? That gives you a sense of where we are in this time, where they have the autonomy to at least breach the neutral zone's still there, but it's not like this offense where if they get caught, they're going to get destroyed or it's going to be an act of war. They're going in there to help. And then they rescue 3 Klingons that don't seem to be all that surprised to see a bunch of Federation officers on their ship in the neutral zone. So I think that spoke volumes right there. And again, I don't know where we are on the timeline with the movies and if there's the treaty yet and the whole 9 yards. But the fact that Worf is on the bridge, did they ever make any kind of reference to the fact that there is now a peace treaty between the Klingons and the Federation, between the Empire and the Federation? Or is this just now we get it all through inference?
I feel like it's never been mentioned yet in this, but later on it's treated like, as the series goes on, it's treated like this happened 15 years ago and everybody should know about it.
Right. And again,
but-
I kind of like that because it just drops you into the reality instead of having a whole prologue about it. Well, remember that and the Battle of Wolf 359 and blah blah blah.
So
it did uncharacteristically, I think, start in the middle of the action. Stuff was already happening, and I enjoyed that.
So yeah, you mentioned so right off we're at the neutral zone, and they actually did say I think he said send a message to Starfleet that we're going into the neutral zone. So like they mention that, and then they go straight in, where it's always been more of a later on. It's always a question. Now my question was when rest of Star Trek we see neutral zone as the Romulan neutral zone. Yeah. But their first go-to here was no idea who it is. Is it the Ferengi? Yeah, I think that was Riker saying that. And then should we separate the saucer section? That was his very first go-to. And other than the very next episode, spoiler, we don't really see this saucer sections, like not even a mention in like separation in the series, other than these 2 or 3 times in season 1.
Do you think that they even brought that up or had Riker bring it up so that it reminds you that you can, and so that when Chorus wanted to steal the drive section, you were reminded that he could just take that and not have to take hostages. He could leave them all in the saucer section. I don't know. I just thought maybe it's to remind you. Remember how the ship works, guys.
It actually makes sense. I never actually put that 2 and 2 together. But that would make logical sense.
I like that. That's maybe why they don't take hostages, and like they did that whole hostage thing. And again, that was Tasha assuming weird stuff, but I like that connection that you just said.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's you could do show or tell, and this is a little bit of both, I think, but it's just a more organic way to bring it in. I think that just them coming and seeing like evidence of a battle, and this teeny little freighter. Okay, so there might be somebody around somewhere, but obviously you're there. You know, the horse has gotten out of the barn, or whatever the expression is. So I'll get the space horse has gotten out of the space barn. That makes it better for the show. And you know, so it's like why even worry about separating the saucer section? It's a dinky ship. Why not just swoop by, put it in the hangar bay, and get on out of there? It'll take you longer to separate the saucer section than it will to mount the rescue.
But they get to hear their really cool orchestral music while it's happening.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But nothing could beat the flyby of the refit.
That's actually something you mentioned, the music. I actually noticed it felt like there was unique music choices in this episode compared to a lot. I don't know if that was something different. I don't know. Just I felt like watching them, like the music, the sound effects, some of it didn't feel the same as they would in a lot of the other episodes.
Really? Is there any part that specifically stood out as weird or jarring?
The sound effects initially, right when they got on the Talarian ship, I thought that the sound effects they used sounded different than the sound effects they use a lot of the times. What it really, I think, was trying to drive home was that this is creepy, something's wrong, kind of a feeling. Less, more that side of it rather than cheery or what you normally have in a lot of Star Trek. And just in actually even the direction of the whole thing, I noticed right off the beginning is the camera angles. It felt like in the bridge angles, they're trying to make it more dramatic, I think. So they're doing a lot of these weird camera pans on a low angle up onto people, and in the very opening sequence when they're going to enter the neutral zone, I was like, I guess I've been watching season 3 and 4 and newer series, and I'm like, the camera feels very awkward in this episode or these.
I gotta say, in these first few episodes before Next Gen gets so complacent and settles in, where they can basically strap down the camera like the Stanley Kubrick and just leave it on a static shot for 15 minutes. I like that there's a lot of different camera motion, and the bridge is seen from different angles. There was one shot that we discussed, Albie. I don't remember which episode it was, but it was just a fantastic push in on Picard. And Picard is central in the shot, but there's people walking in front of him as all this action is going on the bridge. And it gives it a much more dynamic, militaristic feel in the sense that it's not just these guys sitting at consoles with their mouths agape. It's a working, functioning vessel that needs constant attention and duty changing and all that stuff. And I think you'll lose some of that as the show goes on, because it gets to know what it is, and it gets to be a little bit stayed in that mode, because that's what works and that's what people like and they're comfortable with. I just feel like in these episodes, when you have like the weird angles, please make it more cinematic. Please do some of the shadowing like they did in Generations, or in, I guess that was the only time we got to see the D until Picard 3, right?
Love the D. I did notice one shot stood out to me. It was like a dolly shot. They were pulling out from the main three in the horseshoe, I think, and it seemed like the dolly track was kind of like rough, and the camera was shaking a little bit. Like like today they would retake that, but it was interesting to see.
It was the same one when it pulls back. I think probably the same shot when he pulls back, because it comes right over the con officer or whatever's shoulder. I think it's actually, I don't think Geordie's on the way mission, so I think it's whoever the stand-in is. But you actually see the officer kind of lean to the side, I think, because I think the camera's
Now I got to rewatch it.
Don't want to get hit in the head.
That's funny.
So Linda,
that was a big rig back then. Linda, Cadet Listen Linda says, I was thinking the same thing about the music. I distinctly heard the Klingon themes from the movies. I don't remember hearing that, but that's interesting.
For the three of you out there who might not know what Linda's talking about, I love it whenever I hear the Klingon theme. I think that's maybe the strongest part of the Klingons, is having that theme.
Same.
And it's amazing. It's amazing when it comes up in the motion picture. It's amazing when it comes up in First Contact. I love hearing it. Because if you recall, they played that when Worf flew in on the Defiant during the the Battle of Sector 001, right? So I love the theme so much. I think I would have noticed it. Maybe I was just tuned out. Now do I have to rewatch this?
Gotta go back and watch it again.
Gotta watch it again. I gotta watch that guy get hit in the head with the camera while the Klingon theme plays.
Yeah. When I hear that theme, I feel like a happy little boy, like, because it brings me right back to watching, like, I guess the original movie on VHS where you have that theme. That's into that, right? Or is it?
Yeah, no. That's the first time you hear that theme is when the Klingons are circling V'ger. Yep.
Yeah, and I just get happy when.
And it's this long shot where they fly over and then it goes over under them, and
I think I read on one of the resources I looked up that a shot from I think the motion picture of a Klingon vessel was stolen for this episode.
The Klingon ship that comes and visits them. That was all stolen from the other footage.
Oh, from the motion picture.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, because it did look like the motion picture style Klingon bird of prey, like that. I think they called them the D7, the heavy cruisers, instead of the lighter birds of prey that we see in the films. So. To me, they're just clunky for the sake of being clunky, because they wanted big texture and stuff for the big screen. So, it's just nice to see some of that classic stuff come back and being reused. I know they use a ton of Klingon stuff over and over and over again.
That one shot of it.
I mean, the same thing exploding. With Wrath of Khan used just about every shot of the Enterprise on that was reused from the motion picture. Yeah, so it was just to save money.
It works.
Yeah, it works well. But yeah, I'd love to hear those themes come back.
But I think the thing I most like about this episode, rewatching it this time, was it just gives Michael Dorn something to do and Worf something to do, like the beginning of his story. And because before that, he was could have just been a background actor pretty much.
Well, yeah, that's it. So Brent, you were saying it's nice for them. Like they wanted to put this Klingon, but it seems like nobody knew what to do with him. So let's finally give him a story. Why did it take them 20 episodes to do it? That's what I'm wondering.
So reading after a little bit, there was apparently another unproduced episode called Once a Klingon that kept getting got turned down, or for being too complicated. So that script got turned a few times, and it sounds like this is an offshoot of that. My assumption, without reading anything, is this was probably meant to be an earlier episode. Wasn't meant to be the 20th. It's probably meant to be like the 10th, the 8th to 10th episode.
I had never heard about that.
There's apparently on the Memory Alpha, there's a whole thing about the unproduced episodes.
Do you think that maybe it's also because there was the decree from Roddenberry that we don't want to see TOS tie-ins? Like they barely even mentioned. They mentioned the old Enterprise once during the Naked Now, and then they just wanted to establish be its own thing. So maybe there was some pushback from the powers that be to say, do we really want to start embracing the Klingons? Because then it'll just become TOS 2. Maybe they wanted to establish these characters a bit so that you got comfortable with the fact that, okay, this is next gen. And now let's mix in some Klingons cautiously.
To be fair, it's my biggest complaint and gripe about a lot of the modern series is that's all they do is tie-ins to the original series and whatnot. Like, oh, well, how can we do a callback? And it's everything, like the fact that Discovery had to be Spock's step or a sister kind of thing. Like they could have done that whole story. That's a whole nother episode, but they could do that whole story off of her being just somebody who was adopted by Vulcans or something. Didn't have to have anything to do with Spock or whatever, right?
Nope.
And
Didn't. Albie,
A lot of the
funniest.
Sorry. A lot of the disco storytelling. The reason why there were so many Easter eggs and callbacks is because it was written by AI and mostly, and they just rehashed the original stuff.
So
Albie sent me the funniest meme I've ever seen. It's 2 shots of the disco crew, and it said, "Don't cry because it happened." Oh no, it's don't be happy because it's over. Cry because it happened.
So true. So I always wanted to like disco. But we'll just we'll go there. The Klingons. There's actually even a great example. Is this will be the coming into it without seeing the movies or much. You had your goatee wearing ones in the original series. Now you got the guys with the headpiece, and then you go in. If you go all the way to Discovery, it's like a new Klingon. So they're the race of new redesign every time we do a new era of series.
Yeah, no, they were redesigned for the films, then they were redesigned again for the films, and then it's. That's one thing where I'll just give Disco a little bit of slack. The Klingons are different every single time they're introduced. So it just follows their tradition, but they're never so wholly alien as they were in Disco.
Fair. So this episode was neat though to me. It had no B story. It was a
no, they did the whole B story in the first 15 minutes.
That's true. We had
the Visor
Vision. Once again, our sponsor for the show, Visor Vision.
What did you think of that? That really bumped me a lot when, Riker's rubbing the wall and he can't see anything, but Geordi's like, yeah, there's going to be a hull breach in about 5 minutes. And they're like, interesting. Okay. And they just kind of mosey on away. If I knew the hull was going to breach in 5 minutes, I'd be like rushing to do whatever or getting out of there. What was that about?
And that's just an educated guess on his part. He's like, that's glowing. That's going to blow
so
it
could
up.
have been 3 minutes, right?
It's either going to blow or it's an android. Let's see. Yeah. I liked that whole thing. I think it's fun to be able to answer a question that a lot of fans had. How does Geordi see? What does he see? And we're only apparently getting a very limited version of what he sees because it's too complex to compress and send over. Now, my question is, why do you wait until you have an away mission to do this, especially a rescue mission? Like, why are you dicking around with that when your biosigns and a ship's about to blow up? And Picard is just so enamored and enwrapped. He's just wrapped by this experiment. You'd think this is something they could have done on board the Enterprise. Like, he could just walk down the corridors there, and this is what you see, and...
See, you had 37 minutes filmed, and you needed to fill in.
Right. That's why they shoved it all in the beginning, I think.
What it felt like. Like they run short.
Quite frankly, that was one of my favorite parts of the episode. Like Picard, I thought it was pretty fascinating. The fact that what Geordi sees is not what we see. The fact that when Geordi looks at Riker, it's obviously another actor that's supposed to be Riker that looks nothing like him.
Oh,
Same
it was
thing
all
with
the
Data.
stand-ins. Yeah, they captured the stuntmen.
Yeah, it's just like all stand-ins or whatever. So it's like, wow, they don't even look remotely like the actors.
No, Data was definitely the body double for Lore with that wig on, I think.
Gotcha. It's
It was
funny
bad.
because you could clearly see that it was a humanoid, though. And Picard's like, no. Go, what's that? Oh, you mean this guy standing right in front of me that you can see looks like a guy?
Of course, Data has an aura around him.
I like that
He's
because
an android.
that would, in theory, mean that Geordies can tell different races or different, maybe other computeroid stuff like androids in the
Could be.
future.
I wonder what the binars look like to him.
Walking away. Wasn't the episode what was it, Hide and Q, where Geordi got? Did he get sight in that, or where did he get sight for
I
a
think
short
it was
time?
when Riker gives it to him.
Yeah. Now, so he knows what other humans see with like biological eyes. So why is there that miscommunication here? You know.
Maybe he's reverting back to everything that he's known. Did we already see? Did we already see the animal things, Hide and Q? I think we did.
I want to say, did we cover that yet?
I guess.
I watch so many episodes so often I get confused.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. But what I liked about that, just to maybe put a bow on it, is the fact that Picard on the bridge is like, well, for the first time, I think I begin to understand who this man is, and it kind of tied in with another moment on the bridge when Picard is gossiping about Worf to Data and Riker. And he's like, oh, it's like I was seeing a completely different man for the first time. And it's just like Picard is just full of like personal revelations in this episode, which is another interesting choice. It's like they're choosing to write him not so much as, again, like that Kirk Captain Get It Done, but that quintessential explorer that's always looking for a new learning possibility, like a new, what do they call it? A teachable moment. He's always looking for a teachable moment. And they really sort of embrace that here. And it's one of the things that threw me about Next Gen when I first started watching it, is that he goes against my expectations of what a captain should do many, many times. He always goes for the more cerebral approach. And I've gotten to like that now in the first season. So when he does it here, it kind of, I pop for it a little bit.
You actually mentioned that in one of the other early episodes there, like the idea that they are the 23rd century, 24th century. They should be, they're looking at the world in a different way, and that's why he's a captain of that era. They have his right or left hand is a counselor, because they're more thinking about the emotional side of things and all that, and they're not normally instantly thinking about just shoot and kill, except for your Klingon behind you.
Yeah, well, yeah, and then it's just like, no, Mr. Wolf, that's not a good idea. Okay, all right, I'll shut up now. I still had a bigger part than Mayweather.
Poor Mayweather.
All right. Well, I want to talk about that, and I want to talk about other things, including I can do it. Tasha Yar, including Tasha Yar in this episode. And we have other things to talk about, but we need to take a break real quick. And I think we'll be back in a few minutes. Sound good?
Liking it. Kapla.
All right. And we'll be right back with Heart of Glory. More on Heart of Glory. And we're back. Welcome back to Treksploration. I'm Albie, and we're here with Chris and my friend Brent. Now, our friend Brent.
Yes.
How did you guys get along during the break?
Oh, better than we did when you were here. It's actually kind of a drag to see you.
That's usually how it is.
Don't you know what a drag it is to see you?
I'm finding out. I found out on this episode that you're pod cheating on me. Is that a thing?
Yes. I guess I don't know. I mean, were we exclusive? Did we sign a prenup?
Polypodorous, and I didn't know it.
Polypodorous. Wow.
And I just assumed we were exclusive. I don't know.
Polypodorous sounds like one of the forgotten dwarves in The Hobbit.
I know I had one of those when I was a kid. It was a little action figure looking doll, and you put it in your pocket, and it came with a bunch of other dudes. It was weird.
I'm so confused.
Chris, this show is brought to you in part by Visor Vision. Can you tell
Visor
us a little
Vision.
bit about Visor Vision, Chris?
Are you bored with the 3 dimensions you see around you? Is the visible spectrum a real drag to see? Is it a real drag to see it? Well, wait no more, or God, I'm really bad at this. Albie, tell us what you see on your visor with Visor Vision. Expand your horizons with Visor Vision.
See auras. I see stand-ins. I don't know what's going on, but everything's rainbowy and pixely. So I guess if you want to see the world rainbowy and pixely, Visor Vision.
Visor Vision. Thinking you're having a hull breach? Want to make sure your roof isn't going to leak soon? Visor Vision is for you. And of course it's rainbowy because it was brought to you by Reading Rainbow.
But you don't have to take my word for it.
Right. Was LeVar doing Reading Rainbow at that point?
Oh yeah. Did you ever watch that? I sent you Reading Rainbow Next Gen.
Yeah, but I don't. Oh, okay, I don't remember when Reading Rainbow started vis-a-vis Next Gen. I guess Reading Rainbow was predated that, right?
I want to say before.
Yeah, because my sister watched it all the time, and she was definitely much younger than when Next Gen came on. So it had to be that. Anyway,
did you see that episode of Reading Rainbow, Brent?
It's in a book. It's Visor Vision.
Just type in Reading Rainbow TNG and it'll come right up.
It's Visor Vision.
Visor Vision. And to answer your earlier question off the air that you asked, Brent, I love this thing. I spend a couple days a week on it, and I have a whole life out there.
Yeah. So just for anybody listening on the podcast feed that's not watching this on the YouTubes, Albie's got, I guess, what is that, Oculus Rift or
MetaQuest 3.
He's got a MetaQuest 3. He's got all of his what were they? Poly what now?
Polypodist?
Polypod. He's got his polypod potting.
Yeah.
On there.
Polypocket.
Let's not pretend that there's anything wholesome going on behind those goggles.
No. Yeah, these are really password protected.
Yeah, I would hope
for
so.
A reason. Yes. But it's basically a holodeck without the you can't feel anything, but everything else is the same.
It's the holodeck without the ensigns to clean it up afterwards.
Yeah, I have to clean it up afterwards and feel the shame.
This is disgusting.
I'm just staring at the 3 dots going here, 3 eyes, and my brain doesn't know how to.
I don't know how that works.
I got to tell you, I feel confident that we just lost our Visor Vision sponsorship. That's.
Let me turn this thing off because I'll need the battery for later. I have a cuddle date with someone.
A cuddle date with your polypottery.
Yeah. So you're cheating on me with another podcast.
No,
but it's about
doing some live play stuff. I like live play stuff. That's what I listen to when I'm not listening to us. I listen to D&D podcasts.
Oh, okay.
So,
speaking of new podcasts, did you guys get the link I sent for Will Wheaton's new podcast? I really like it. It's him reading fiction.
I saw the link. I haven't clicked on it yet. I was more interested in the London broil sandwich that Brent.
Dude, that was good. London broil with French onion mayonnaise, which I think is mayonnaise mixed with French onion soup mix, which is amazing. And the London broil, and it came with Swiss cheese. It was toasted on a soft roll with French onion, crispy French onion, like you'd get on your creaming casserole. And then for some reason, I got lettuce, tomato, and onion and oil, vinegar, salt, and pepper, but it was the bomb. It was so good.
I'd eat that entire thing without the onion.
Me too.
You don't like onion?
I hate onion. How long have we known each other?
First,
you don't know what I do for a living. You don't know what my hours are. Now you don't know that I don't like onions.
You're a transponster.
You've been eating onions. Right. Magic.
We got something from Susie Q's Never Ending Jewelry Party. My husband tries to inserting Worf into every other show we watch. You sound like him now.
I guess that was from 45 minutes ago.
It was.
It made sense 45 minutes ago.
Them out, so we pretend that people are still watching.
Gotcha.
All right. Oh, the Omnipotent Willard is still available. That's good.
Okay.
Yeah, Tasha in this episode. It seemed like Denise did not want to be in this episode. She was already over TNG.
Really?
She'd already decided to leave.
I thought that she was fine in this episode. Like what I honestly thought she overacted a little bit in this episode.
A little
I think
bit?
she was a little
Okay.
too present. But so tell me why. What gives? What? Explain yourself.
On
You
the
can't
bridge.
just say that and say nothing.
On the bridge, she seemed really bored. Yes, they gave her more to do later on, leading the security team trying to apprehend the Klingons. But up until that point, I think the past, how many episodes, she's just kind of just chilling on the back of the horseshoe.
So
And that was her major complaint, right?
So right on there, when they're doing the visor vision, there's a scene where it
Visor vision?
flips, and she's sitting there like this, and I'm like, is she covering a yawn or something on? Because it's Picard talking, and she's in the background covering her mouth.
Yeah.
And then the very next clip, she's leaned over the console, kind of like, okay, what do I do now?
Wow, I'm the only one not throwing shade on Denise. So Denise, if you want to be on the show, I'll make sure that these guys are off and it can just be you and me talking.
The Omnipotent Willard is available to co-host a Babylon 5 podcast. Well, I know me
Let's
and
have a
Brent
roundtable.
sometimes talk about doing a Babylon 5 podcast. I know I mentioned it before. This is the Brent that I have the complete series on VHS in a box ready to get to Brent somehow.
So
I just don't know how now.
right there behind me,
Mhm.
that's all the complete series minus season, like whatever, in Laserdisc,
Laserdisc.
just to match Albie's thing.
Yes.
And then I have some episodes of it in the PAL versions out of Europe because they are different cuts.
Really? That I didn't know.
So I kind of probably nerded out over Babylon 5 more than any other thing.
That's the European cut you said?
Yeah.
So that means Claudia Christian is topless.
We wish.
I want that. Whom I've interviewed.
Topless? Not her, you.
I was thinking at the time she might have been.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
So even going more into before Denise there, we also don't see Deanna or
At all.
Leslie in this one.
Oh yeah, not at all.
No.
Didn't even
I
notice.
figured maybe Wesley was off studying. He was off taking a vacation because he just flunked out of the exam. And
He was filming Stand By Me. No, he had already done that. But he was hanging out with Deanna maybe in the holodeck. They hire the viewer.
maybe they were in a mud bath somewhere.
Yeah, in a mud bath, exactly.
The holodeck mud bath.
I mean, who would turn down a mud bath with Deanna? Just saying.
So I don't know. Maybe they all went to Jogging Boner Planet. Oh, he can't go back there.
This episode it sucks.
Oh wow!
So let's talk about that.
So we've been talking around it.
Yeah.
You're saying you don't like Klingon episodes. Why don't you like Klingon episodes?
Me?
Yeah, you.
It's just the same all the time, and it's a monoculture, and they're all warriors, and nobody builds their ships. We find out later there's some scientists and farmers and stuff, but how many decades did it take to get to that? At this point, in most of what is it, the golden age of Star Trek, they're just all warriors, and they all want to die in battle, and that's all they care about, and it just seems very two-dimensional and very boring.
How about you, Brent?
So that's actually very key to a lot of sci-fi. Would be every alien race, every planet is monoculture. Like you go to the rain planet, you go to the ice planet, you go to the desert planet. You have the aliens who are the warriors, or you have the Vulcans who are like the science-y kind of ones, whatever. You don't have Earth, and some series actually make a point that Earth is this unique because we're diverse. But I don't feel like any culture would have survived to get to spacefaring and do everything if they were all warriors. Like, if they're all fighting each other for everything, how would they ever get anything done? But maybe
that's how I feel about the Mirror Universe. There would never be a Terran Empire. But I look at it this way. I mean, all of that, especially in Next Gen, is a throwback to the allegorical storytelling style of the original series, where you would have Nazi Planet, because that's the costumes that we had for the episodes this week. You would have Roman Planet, because that's what they had on set that week. And the only thing that's different about Next Gen is that, okay, we can use the Klingons again, but they're just the Russians or the Asians or whatever you want to call them at that point. And then you don't need Nazi planet because now we have Cardassians. You don't need, Roman planet because we have this Rome. It just, the monoculture is a means to an end. It's a way to present an ideal or an obstacle and a thought process that we need to explore and either learn to embrace or to get around. So it gets kind of clunky because you go to an entire planet like Vulcan where everybody's the same. You go to a planet like Cardassia where everybody's the same. You go, and I figure that's just classic science fiction storytelling, and it does it wear well. I mean, they tried to have it both ways, so therefore you get the monoculture. But I think if you want like complex alien, you go read The Lathe of Heaven, or I'm sorry, Left Handed Darkness. Lathe of Heaven's a little bit different, but read Le Guin, read someone that's actually writing science fiction. The TV has got to get. We have the one idea. These are the aliens that represent that idea. Go.
That's fair. Now, the one thing I'd give also is, even with our style, if we were to head space right now, it's probably our military is going to be the leading force, and that's who you're meeting. You're going to meet the Klingon military, which is probably going to be their warrior race. Back at home, you probably have farmers and everything. So, but that's not who you meet. And when you go travel down to a planet, you're probably meeting their president and his military kind of thing. So that's who you're only seeing that one little slice of their culture, not the whole thing.
That is a really good point.
Yeah, I think you can retcon that too. In your head, you can say, "Hey, look, and they do dabble with that a little bit." In Enterprise, when they were doing, it wasn't the augment storyline, but the divergence, affliction divergence, whatever. When they were explaining the ridges, there was a scientist talking to Phlox in that, saying the warrior cast this, the warrior cast that, and so they did introduce some diversity as the series went on. But even in DS9, it was always about the freaking High Council and, in the chamber and, all of the drama. They try to make Klingon stuff so operatic, so melodramatic that that's why I think you just think, whenever you think Klingon, this is going to be heavy. This one is going to be, but I think once you pass that sort of that barrier, that sort of that initial inertia, wow. That should be our next sponsor. I think that it does become interesting just from the strength of the performances. Like, who couldn't love Martok? Who couldn't love, Garon is just like this crazy cartoon chancellor, but he's always entertaining to watch, So I think that the Klingons got better as the series went on. I think that Next Gen is where I have the most problem with them, because it was just Ron Moore going back and being as serious could be all the time. It was always, this turned up to a dour 11 whenever it was a big Klingon episode with the honor. And we got a lot of that with some of the soliloquies, some of the freaking dialogue between Worf and Chorus was just like, come on, nobody is going to speak like that. And Worf was raised by humans. He's not going to, be...
He was trying to fit in with, he had FOMO. Worf had FOMO in this episode.
I think Worf has FOMO no matter what.
So right off, so that's maybe it's a '90s plot hole type thing, but from the audience point of view, we knew they're the bad guys. Like, they're everything about these guys from the moment we start they're telling their story about the battle in the sickbay. We know they're the bad guys, and yet the entire crew seems oblivious to this fact.
No. I think you do them. I think you do them dirty a little bit there, because they even said this sounds like a trap. This seems like a trap. Everything about this seems wrong. And then Picard is just like, as I said in the recap, this really doesn't add up. Do you want? And the guy kind of brushes him off. And Riker even says, "Should I put a security detail on them?" And this I love. It seems like a throwaway line, but he says something to the effect of, "No, Worf can handle anything that they throw at him." So it shows just this casual confidence that he has in Worf, which is nice, because we haven't seen much interaction between Worf and Picard, if any, at all until this point. And it's another way that this script is really well written in the showing, not the telling. you think that he would say, yeah, of course, then Worf almost lets him down. But I mean, did you guys ever think that Worf had a moment there where he might have sided with the other two, like his bloodlust was up or whatever?
No, but I think they were trying to take advantage of him and hoping that would happen. The other Klingons.
You think they were openly manipulating him?
Yeah.
Definitely trying.
Mm-hmm.
The sorry to jump back, but and you also talked about Tasha. When they went to go to the transporter room, Picard told her to stay at her post. My memory of this show, I for some reason thought my brain was thinking Worf was on the ship with them. And so I was like, so when they said, "Oh, Tasha, you stay at your post," I'm like, "Oh, Mr. Worf's gonna go with them," and then I'm like, "He didn't." I'm like, "Oh, okay, must be misremembering something." But
I think there is something similar with Worf going over to a ship and moving a beam or something in one of the future episodes. Maybe I don't know.
Well, that's a good point though, Brent, because that's another thing where, again, through the dialogue, you get to understand how Picard values Tasha's presence. So even though maybe Denise was punched out and done with the series by this point, but he's just like, anybody can go look at that dumb ship. There might be Romulans out there. I need you here. I mean, that's where this is how much I value your experience. And if we get into a scrape, you're the one that I want here. So, let Geordi go look at a wall.
So they're in this ship, and they hit the engine room, and all of a sudden it's too dangerous to go through. So Data's going to go through. And then he comes back and goes, "There's a jammed door. Come with me." And they all just go through anyways. And Data's the one that has to open the door himself anyways.
Yeah, they're just there to watch him do it.
And I'm like, this doesn't even make sense other than...
It's danger, drama.
Yeah.
Right?
And they maybe because they were trying to fill out time or something, but didn't they ask like Data like 3 times, like which is the best way to get there? And it was like, really 3 times? I was thinking Austin Powers, and when they asked Will Ferrell, and he has to answer after 3 times. But then it also brought up, I just had read Isaac Asimov's story, The Last Question, and I thought about that. I don't know if that's connected or if there was a little Easter egg there.
I'm not familiar with the story, so I'll just leave it up to the audience to comment in the comments below about.
It did seem weird that they went through there, and also what seemed weird is when they found the Klingons after they raised the door. Von Armstrong and the other Klingons are just kind of standing there. Hey, what's up? How you doing?
Yeah, would it have been better, like more of a reveal, had Data run around that failing core? And they're waiting with bated breath, and then he comes back with Klingons in tow. That could be a reveal too.
Yeah, that would have been better.
Coming through the fog.
Yeah, coming through the fog, and dun dun dun.
Chris made it better.
Yeah, I'll just rewrite every episode of next year.
They were sweating. Was that heat coming from the core, like radiation?
Even Data was sweating.
Yeah, I think it was a hot set.
Hot set.
Hot set.
I did I always, for some reason, when Data pick up the wounded one and it's like, "No, I got him." And I'm like, "Oh, he's like," I don't know if my brain goes, "Oh, it's my brother. He's not heavy," or something like that.
I see what you did there. All right, we're gonna have to go out on that song. So, I mean, I know we've been going all over the map, but are there any other like major story beats or character beats in this that you guys want to discuss, or should we start moving on?
I'll let Brent go first.
I have questions about the writing or the show itself. This one Klingon's injured and in sick bay, and she's pretty much, I feel like they're almost ignoring him while he's whining in pain, and not where you see other people come in other episodes that are hurt and they're doing everything they can to save them, and it feels like they're like, "Oh, this Klingon's hurt. Well, I guess we're just gonna watch him die."
Beverly was taking care of him. I mean, they had a whole medical team on him.
I think it's been well established by now that Beverly is like Starfleet's one of the worst doctors ever, right? Because she can't save anyone. But the injuries didn't look that bad. Nothing that she couldn't have fixed, which I don't understand.
He did have a rip in his tunic. So we know that is a death knell.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, maybe it was radiation combined with hypoxia, combined with space madness.
To me, it always, in Star Trek, it always feels like whether you want to bring them back to life or not, or whether you want to let them die or not.
Yeah, well, it
just
needed
seems
to
like
die so you could do the
arbitrary.
growl roar. You had to
Yeah,
introduce the
that's
growl
true.
roar.
We do
Yeah.
see that going forward. I think they do it differently going forward, but we see that a few more times.
Worf was probably thinking, "Yay, I finally get to do this."
Yeah, right? I mean, who else is he going to do it for? Maybe that kid he killed during the soccer game that we hear about the next time.
One thing I noticed watching this, I think I watched it 3 times in a row, just to get it in my brain. But I felt there was like a little bit of a connection because I know early on in Next Gen they were trying to reuse different stories that they had in the original series, and I thought there was like a little bit of a connection to Balance of Terror, where like that one person on the bridge was racist against Spock because Vulcans look like Romulans. And I felt like there was talk behind Worf's back going on about, his where does his loyalties lie? Because yes, he's with us, he's in Starfleet, and he's an officer, so we should trust him. But hey, he looks a little bit like those guys. So I kind of felt like a little connection between that and Balance of Terror. Did you see that?
No, you do real watch.
I hadn't noticed that. I was curious to know when you wrote it on the rundown. I noticed it as I was just scrolling through, but I couldn't figure out the connection that you were making there. So I guess that's interesting. That's another, maybe is this episode sending mixed messages? Because Picard is saying, I trust that Worf will handle whatever they give him. And is it Riker that's saying, should we be concerned? Or like, do they know? I guess we haven't established like the epic bromance between Worf and Riker yet.
We haven't
Where
really done that.
Worf loves Will so much, he's like, kill me. Kill me. Kill me, Chadich.
We are, because I think we're still in season 1, we have the individual character development and very little inter-character development.
Right.
Like the Data and Geordi friendship is, I guess, kind of there starting now, but we don't really see that until later seasons. I think we kind of touched on this at the beginning, but this feels like an earlier episode than it.
It does.
Where it is actually a 120, I think, or 119 in its production number, but to me it always felt like it's an earlier episode in the series.
Let's blame Maurice Hurley.
Yeah, Maurice Hurley that wrote the teleplay, but Herbert Wright and D.C. Fontana came up with the ideas, but who knows what parts and where.
And
But it was still the Chaos on the Bridge era, right?
Right. Who knows how many scenes Roddenberry just rewrote wholesale anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I did notice there was at least one Starfleet officer. She was wearing the short dress skirt style uniform, knee-high boots.
In engineering, right?
It was on the bridge behind.
Oh yeah.
In one of the more ending scenes.
Walking down the horseshoe. Maybe. Yeah, I was noticing the heels, and I was thinking, heels in the 24th century, really still? That's weird.
Yeah,
Fashion.
Style above all, man. You gotta be out there. You gotta put your best foot forward when you meet those Kardashians.
Yeah. So they did mention the Romulans. So that was a little like, I think, was that one of the first mentions of the Romulans in Next Gen? Like preparing us for things to come?
Yeah, because he says something like, is it the Ferengi? Possibly the Romulans?
Yeah. Yep.
And they kind of both brush them both away. But they never even mention the Klingons until they see them. So
Right. I guess maybe they would just the misdirect.
That probably so.
Right. So.
Yeah. All right. If anybody wants to call in, now's the time. We can take short calls, but we are running long.
Yeah, we're running long,
Sorry
and
about
I'm
that.
fading.
So-
I'm fading fast.
Okay,
Yes, and he's fading fast. He's got to work tomorrow.
I do have a
He's
question.
got a real job. Yes.
How can somebody break out of the brig and have full access to get to engineering, though?
I want to know: there's no security on Starfleet vessels whatsoever? Like, how is engineering just someplace
It's
you can
bad.
casually walk into? Like, no matter who you are, you probably would need clearance to get into engineering on any ship you go to. Matter of fact, I was on an aircraft carrier and I begged them to see the engine room, and they were like, "No, you can't do that."
But you studied all the charts and diagrams.
Exactly. I didn't even have a chance to make a phaser out of my belt buckle and shoelace. My sons of bitches. So it's just like, it's because plot. It's so stupid. But it was a cool shot. I like the fact that they have that two-tiered warp core set.
And they don't.
They use it to good effect, and finally somebody fell off it dramatically. Of course, it's a Klingon. It's like the end of Tosca, where she commits suicide.
and not transparent aluminum. It was glass. It looked like.
No, that was glass. I mean, he felt
glass, yeah.
unless Klingons are really, really dense.
They seemed like it because they were sharing their secrets with Worf.
Again, who knows? Who knows what they were telling him that was real? I
All
just
right,
like
episode
what
crushes.
What did they
Is
think
that
that they were going to do? Go out and just like conquer a planet, just the two of them with that dumb little ship? That
It made
doesn't
no
make any sense either.
None of it made sense.
Anyway, episode crush.
Episode crush. Chris.
Brent, you go
Brent.
first.
Okay, I'm gonna go with the one wearing the scant uniform, blue uniform with the knee-high boots. Lieutenant, I don't know her name.
And, we'll say Lisa.
Sure.
Chris.
Lieutenant Coltrane. I hadn't even thought about this because it's not that kind of episode.
No, it's mostly a sausage party.
Yeah, there's no sexy times in this one. My episode crush, I guess, if I had to, it's going to be Visor Vision. I love Visor Vision.
Visor Vision. I would have to almost agree with Brent, but the one in the scant and the heels on the left side of the engineering desk, she just seemed cute, kind of cute.
I think you guys are really reaching for this segment. Hey,
Cadet, listen, Linda.
There she is.
Who was your
Got a
episode
call.
crush
Who's your
in
crush,
this
Linda?
episode?
Besides Albie.
Oh, I loved all of the Klingons. They just turned me on so much.
Ah, ooh, wow, Von Armstrong. Is he still with us? We can probably get you his number.
I think so. Yeah. So, what did you think of Heart of Glory, Cadet? Listen, Linda.
I could have sworn that I heard the Klingon theme.
Maybe you wanted to. I got to go back and
maybe.
listen now.
Maybe it's just a little snippet, just like a
mixed
little
in.
bit.
Could be. Yeah, just to give you that little whet your appetite kind of deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because of that, I'm going to watch it again.
So, I mean, how do you... Go ahead, Linda. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say I have a little Trek and tell.
I thought you might. It probably involves wine.
No.
Blood wine?
That'd be good.
It's blood wine advent calendar, isn't it?
I wish. No, I have a picture. I showed one that my daughter got for my husband.
Oh.
You can see it. Oh no.
You just beamed out.
I
You got to
know.
beam back in.
I
There you
know.
go.
I'm trying to get rid of this background. I can't figure it out. There it is.
Oh, there it is. Wow.
Is
Love
that from All Good Things?
I
would
think it's
say.
from the finale of Picard.
Oh, so it's from All Good Things Part 3. I guess. I don't remember what the name of that episode was.
But it's when
No.
they show the. I think it is. It's when the episode when they just show all of the upper. They're all playing poker.
Yeah.
It goes
That's
with the
pretty
dogs playing poker pictures that we.
I was going to
that's
say
very
you
cool.
put those next to each other, I hope.
Yes. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. That was a very good shot.
So, where do you stand on Klingons in Next Gen, Linda?
I didn't realize that this was the first time that we had seen Klingons other than Worf. And it just seems like, Klingons and Star Trek, they just go together. I enjoy the Klingons.
All right. So I'm just
A lot of people do.
I got to think they kept bringing them back for a reason, right?
Yes.
They built
Well,
the
I
character.
mean, the whole connection. I mean, with before in the original series, they're an enemy, and now in Next Gen, they're trying to introduce them as allies. So, of course, there's got to be some kind of animosity because they're just different. But
Yeah.
I don't know. It's always hard thinking of how they keep their warrior, but they're still allies to the Federation. That it's a little slippery slope there.
I get you. They explored that a lot in DS9, especially when they went into the Dominion War arc and the Klingons. Actually, they were at war with the Klingons for a little while in DS9 too. The treaty broke down, but they really had discussions about how do you reconcile these two cultures? How are we actually, it's funny, even Martok at one point tells Worf, we're Klingons. We'll just go to the planet and plant our flag and screw everybody. So they're still thinking that way. But to reconcile the two is always interesting to see, or
And then this
or
is
how they
just an-
don't.
Yeah, and then this is just an introduction as to how Worf, his background. It's that they're just like barely touching the surface right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like at least if we got anything out of this episode, yes, maybe it set the tone for Klingon episodes to come. A little bit heavy, a little bit dark, but it gives Worf interesting stuff like Albie, like you had said earlier, that they use to good effect as the series goes on to build this character, not just this series, but on into DS9 and even carrying through to some of the movies. So I think, at least we get that.
There are good Klingon episodes moving forward, like when Kalar comes aboard and takes everything out of like the Klingons, makes fun of them, and
I think that's
is different. Isn't part of that.
She's kind of the anti-Klingon.
Yeah,
and that's even your
things to look forward
your B'Elanna character in Voyager.
But of course, she couldn't stick around for too long because they had to go back to serious monoculture.
Because, as you do. And I just wish that they had laid some groundwork here as to, Worf was rescued by humans. By all accounts, he's had the two most loving parents we've ever seen. And yet he is the shittiest dad in all of science fiction history. So I don't know. But who's Trek Trav says, hey guys, hey Trek Trav.
Hey Trek Trav.
Do we know
Cool.
Trek Trav?
Not at all, but we'll check them out.
Is that Linda's alter ego, Trek Trav?
Maybe.
One of my many fans.
I was like, how come? It's funny how we never see Linda and Trek Trav in the same room at the same time. Or do we?
She is a technology expert, so possibly.
I think I stole that joke from John Irons.
The beautiful John Irons.
The beautiful John
Trek
Irons.
Trav. Okay,
Trek
we'll
Trav.
check them
Thank
out.
you, Trek Trav.
I do that. I get on different live Star Trek shows, I get them to mention Treksploration by commenting.
You're devious.
I am. It works. So your crush is who, Linda?
All the Klingons.
All the sexy
All
Klingons.
of them.
Okay.
What was your episode highlight? What was your favorite part of the episode?
The music.
Oh,
I was really enjoying the music.
That music.
I felt like it was different than you hear in a lot of the other episodes.
I heard a lot of nods to the themes, to the the original series and everything. I thought it really tied everything together.
cool.
What I really liked about that is they were still at the time they were doing all the music brand new for every episode live in the studio with the full orchestra and everything. They spared no expense back then.
I didn't realize that. They don't just
very
remix
interesting.
sound cues that they have in their library.
Yeah, I saw some. I think it was on one of the DVD sets, maybe if not the Blu-ray set. All about it. It was really interesting.
Yeah. All right. That's cool. I mean, it's nice that they have the money to do it. It gives every episode, I guess, its own cinematic feel. And maybe that's what they were going for here because they had the cinematic costumes, right? What was your favorite part of the episode, Albie?
Man. Oof. I would say seeing Michael Dorn being able to work on his craft more and not just be in the background. So Michael Dorn.
I think you could have just said Michael Dorn. Yeah.
Michael Dorn.
think-
Yeah, Michael Dorn.
You just think he's pretty. And how about you, Brent?
Oh, I gotta go with Visor Vision.
And not only because it's the sponsor of this episode.
Right.
I think you kind of touched on it earlier. I wish they had touched on this a bit more, other than the space probe that he controlled throughout the series, maybe.
No, it's going to be wonderful to see how they explore this thread as the series. Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, well, we see a little bit more later on where he sees his mom, right? I love the Heart of Glory. Trek Trav said, I love the Heart of Glory built this honor thing, but in the Star Trek movies at the same time, Klingons were just generally D-bags.
I love how you censor that. And we're
I
live.
do.
We have
There's
this.
some
Just so
words
you
I
know.
don't say.
We have this. We have the
Some
D
words I
bomb.
don't say.
But
The D-bomb. All right, 47. There was no 47. I searched the script. I searched the internet. There was no 47. Why do we even do this?
why do we even do it? No
Why do we even do
47s.
this?
Because you're excited.
And Linda got to do her Trek and Tell. What are our Trek and Tells this time?
Trek and tell us. Brent, do you have a Trek
I
and tell?
do. So I happened to be at the thrift store this past weekend, and I found Star Trek.
Oh, wow.
We're at the, is that a laser disc? Lasers.
Vinyl.
Record.
Oh,
Soundtrack.
It's the Search for Spock's soundtrack on vinyl.
Yep.
Wow.
Oh no, it's the Wrath of Khan soundtrack on vinyl.
Yeah, Wrath of Khan. So
That's maybe
Wow.
one of my favorite, if not my favorite, soundtracks.
so that
I've never even seen that.
I hadn't either, and for $3 or $3.99, it's now.
Oh,
Yeah, so
don't you love when you find something that cool in the wild? Can you show it to camera again?
let's see if I can.
Both sides? Wow.
Nice.
I've never even seen that. I'd probably pay $30 for something like that.
Some of those shots that you see there were on. I had a poster in my office that, and it said, "At the end of the universe lies the beginning of vengeance." That was like the tagline, I guess, for the Wrath of Khan. And they had like those pictures, like you see, flanking the sides of that album. They were sort of flanking, but it was more rectangular. But especially that iconic shot of Khan in his full drapery out in the desert before he rips his mask off to reveal himself to Sulu. Oh no, to Chekhov. Do you have a Trek and Tell,
Chekhov totally
Albie?
remembers them. Huh? Trek and Tell? I have something here. This is
For those of you listening on the podcast feed, it's like it looks like a Gilmore Girls yearbook or something.
magazine, and then I have my Luke's Gilmore Girls mug.
Okay.
I've shown that before. No, but my Trek and Tell is something I really like. I think it must have been this episode or another Geordie episode that Serenity and I watched together. She might have been like 8 years old. This is a while ago now. But like it was like close to Father's Day. And for Father's Day, she made me this.
So
It's an early prototype for Visor Vision.
there we go. I like it. So
So I keep that on my shelf of cherished things. And Serenity made this for me.
this
Whenever I
is
see
the perfect
Geordie wearing his
episode for
visor,
those.
it warms my heart because I think of this.
Did she give you the clip on the side so that you can get the? Wait a minute, we have to call it TM. We have to call it the visual activity,
Transmitter.
visual acuity transmitter. It's easy for me to say.
Everyone has auras. I don't understand. But yeah, that's my Trek and Tell. It's a cherished thing that she made for me by hand at like 7 or 8 years old.
That's so cute.
A Geordie visor. So, and it's taped to a pair of 3D glasses in the back, made out of cardboard because at 8 years old, everything you can make out of cardboard.
And construction paper.
Yeah, exactly. And like you made your shirt. So
Exactly. I
cherish it.
still have pieces
cherish
of
it. So
the
that's my
construction
Trek and
paper
Tell.
over there to do it again.
Do you have a Trek and Tell?
I
Chris?
do, but it's really involved. And how much time do we have?
Oh, we got about 15 more minutes.
Yeah, no, it's too involved for that.
Okay, we got about 25 more minutes.
It really is. It's something that, but
right. Save
now
it
that
for
we
next
got
time?
Trek Trav, I didn't expect to have Linda. So
Trek Trav is Australian, and it's almost impossible to find good Trek merch. Yeah, my Australian friend Hayden sends me some Star Trek stuff from Australia every once in a while. And I feel bad because the shipping, it's got to kill him, but he does it because he's just a good guy.
he sends it, but he can't. So this Australian can't find any good Trek merch, but Hayden finds Trek merch,
All the time.
and he's in Australia, and he sends it to you.
Mhm.
So Trek Trav, you got to up your game, man.
Yeah, or just befriend Hayden.
Yeah,
and
that
he'll-
too. You could do
he'll
that.
look you
No, don't do that. Nobody should do that.
So since we do have Linda still on the line, if you're willing to stick around for 2 minutes, you want to be part of our trivia that Chris is going to ask Brent?
Uh-oh.
Sure,
Maybe we'll
I
take
can
turns
lose very
and
gracefully.
3 questions each and see who
Yeah.
comes out victorious
3 questions each.
and who has honor and who is dishonored.
I like it. Wait, this one is too easy.
That would be
This
for
one's
me.
too easy. This one might not be too easy. So, all right, I'll ask. I got Linda's questions. These are softballs. These are gimmies.
Probably still won't get them.
Are you going to ask
I think
both of
we
them, Chris?
answered. I think we answered 2 of these in the last 2 episodes we did. So
All right. We'll just take turns. And of course, Canadians go first. So Brent goes first and then Linda, and just alternate, I guess, right? Does
okay.
that sound good,
So are
Chris?
you reading for Brent? I'll read for Linda.
I think you'll read for both
I'll read for
because
both. I got
you
2
have
cards.
you have a degree in English.
Oh wow. Okay. So Brent, this is for you. Linda would never get this. What kind of creature is Celia revealed to be in the Next Generation episode, The Dolphin?
The shape-shifting thing, but I don't remember the name of it.
I mean, it does say or shapeshifter here, so I guess technically you get it. It's an Elasmorph.
Elasmorph.
That is a dumb
That sounds
name.
familiar. Okay, we got you for 3 questions. Brent got 1.
All right. So
Question number 1 for Linda.
Beverly Crusher's late husband, Jack Crusher, served with which member of the Next Generation crew on the USS Stargazer?
Would that be Picard?
Yeah, I knew you would know this one. That's even a question.
Okay, 1-1.
Question
Brent.
so good that even Linda knows the answer. In the Voyager episode Caretaker, approximately how far does the Caretaker transport the USS Voyager across the galaxy?
75,000 light years?
Sorry, sir.
79.
70,000 light years. Good day, sir.
I never get number trivia questions because I don't remember numbers. My brain just goes number. That's how it
That
runs.
number. It was that number. Sure it was.
I'd say that's pretty close.
Linda, are you ready? What militant species first appears in the original series episode, Balance of Terror?
Would that
Albie
be
just mentioned it.
Klingons? No?
Oh.
No?
Brent to steal?
Romulans.
Romulans.
Do we give Brent the point? I don't
Yes.
know.
I think so.
Give him the
And they
point.
each get 1 more question each. Is that right?
Yep. So it's Brent's turn. Last question for Brent. In what 1990s science fiction television series did Walter Koenig, who played Chekhov, recur as a character named Alfred Bester?
Oh, I don't know. That would be
Did you pick that out intentionally?
No, I didn't.
How does that happen?
Babylon 5.
Babylon 5. I'm telling you, the
Yes.
universe is
Good on
weirdly
Babylon 5.
connected sometimes. And Alfred Bester, a really good author. The Star's My Destination.
Psyops,
The
right?
Demolished Man. And last but not least, for our good friend, Listen Linda. All right, cadet. Attention. What future star of the television series Lost appeared as Gotana Retz in the Voyager episode Blink of an Eye? Wow. I'm not even going to look at the back. I have no idea on this one. I'm going to guess
Oh.
myself.
I didn't watch Lost either.
I watched it, but I have no clue.
There were only like 9 billion cast members on Lost, so and it was they were a future star at this point.
A future
So that means
star.
that even if they were a giant star on Lost, they were probably like nobody.
The only thing
I have an answer.
the only person I can think of on Lost was the big guy with the hair, and I can't even remember.
Hurley.
Curly? Was that his name?
Hurley.
Nope, I don't think it was him.
So she's saying Hurley. I'm going to say Harold Perrineau, who was also on Oz.
I'll say the polar bear.
Polar bear. Okay. And Brent, what is your, or do you already know it?
I don't know it.
Okay.
No, you said Star Trek.
Voyager.
Blink of an eye. Is that the one where the time goes by really? Oh, wait. Is he one of the astronauts maybe in the end of that episode?
I don't know. I don't know who it is. So it's not the polar bear.
Is it Matt Fox or whatever? The main character?
Oh, Matthew Fox. All right. So let's see. Let's see. I'm going to turn it around.
Who is it?
We're all wrong. It was Jin. Daniel Day Kim.
Daniel Day Kim. He's one of the astronauts at the end of the episode.
Who's now on Hawaii Five-0, right? Is Hawaii Five-0 still a thing?
Okay.
With Grace Park?
Is that still on?
I don't know. I was just asking you that. Linda, is that still on?
I don't think
Brent,
so.
is that filming in Vancouver?
Probably
Everything's
was.
filming in Vancouver.
In the Hawaii section.
Right, that's where they got. That's where they got all the surfing in Vancouver. Well, that's all right. So it looks like we all lost. That was a shameful round of trivia for us all, but I think Brent actually pulled it out. So I
Yeah.
think he got
Good-
2.5.
good job, Brent. Thank you, Linda, for being with us. Thank you, Linda, for being with us. Real quick, what do you give it out of 5 before we let you go?
Yeah. Final thoughts and ratings, Linda.
3 Klingons out of 5.
3 Klingons
All
out
right.
of 5.
We'll take it.
All right.
'Cause there were 3 Klingons, right?
Yes, there were.
And only one.
They all
No,
start
well,
with
3 in the dead ones.
we always forget Worf. There were 4 Klingons.
And then
Oh,
then
yeah.
5, the captain of the other ship.
Oh yeah, 5. You kept me on the ship.
Oh,
Wow.
Brent's on it.
So 3 Klingons out of 5.
Oh, there you go. Perfect. Now it all makes sense.
Oh, you're too smart. She's just too smart for us. Oh, she gets it every time.
She's a smart one. She's a genius.
Every time. How about you, Brent? What would silly objects?
Oh, what was? Well, that'd be the visor vision. But no, what's the proper name for it? The visual acuity transmitters.
Yes.
Mhm.
I'd probably still give this also a 3. 3.
Three
is that what you
visual
said?
acuity
Yeah.
transmitters out of 5. I hadn't even thought about this.
Chris.
Silly odds. I give it because I like a lot of the character work in this, and I think that despite all the dour stuff where the Klingon stuff where it goes, I really found this episode engaging. So I'm going to give it 4 growl screams out of 5.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
This episode was good for starting the Worf stuff, but other than that, it's kind of painful to watch. I do like Vaughn Armstrong whenever he's on screen, so that's nice. But it also takes me out of the Klingon story because I don't see him as a Klingon. I think, what is it, Admiral Forrest?
Yeah.
Mostly with that voice, but he's been in so many. Isn't he like, does he lead the amount of different characters, or if not, he's up there?
Him and Jeffrey.
I think
starts
that Vaughn might be the most. Jeffrey's only played a few different ones multiple times. Vaughn has been on like a gazillion different episodes as a gazillion
Voyager,
different
Deep
people.
Space Nine.
This was his first
Lot,
appearance,
Enterprise.
I think.
I think I have it written on the document. If you go down,
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
cast.
Heart of Glory and Shades of Grey.
Mhm. Shades of Grey is just the clip show, so I'm sure it's from this episode.
Yeah,
as
more
well,
than
probably.
likely. Did he ever talk
I
to
think.
Riker?
Unless he plays the tree and that bites Riker, I'm not sure. Throws apples at him.
Albie, how many out of 5?
Oh, yeah, you got to just end it, or else I'll keep talking. No, I'm gonna go with 2.5 empty plates with the beds of lettuce still left on them because Klingons don't like lettuce.
I guess, but they still had a ravioli on there too.
Yeah,
So it was a green ravioli from what I can tell.
2.5
spinach
out of
ravioli.
5.
They don't want
It was okay, but I don't enjoy it. But there were parts.
Okay.
So what are we talking about next time?
That was that
Chris?
ringing endorsement. Well, before we get to that,
Okay.
we want to know what you out there think of this episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation. To do so, please drop us a line. You can do it at Treksplorationpod@gmail.com. You can hit us up on Instagram at TrekSplorationPod. You can find us on TikTok at Treksploration. You can blue sky us at Treksploration. You can comment right here on the YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/@Treksploration. Down in the comments below. We want all your comments down there. The more comments we get, the better the algorithm is. The more people see our show.
Yes.
The more people
Subscribe.
comment. The more people see our
Subscribe.
show. The more people comment. You see, it's a never-ending loop. It's the
We
never-ending
got
cycle.
to get to that 500 subscriptions.
Yes,
so make some
please.
extra YouTube accounts and subscribe.
There we go. You can also support us on Patreon, patreon.com/Treksploration. And you can always drop us a line. That's P.O. Box 542, Bayport, New York, 11705. If you want to support the show just at a one-time level, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/Treksploration. Any and all support would be appreciated, both monetarily and just letting us know that you're out there watching and listening and enjoying. We again want to thank all of our intrepid Treksplorers. Cadet, listen, Linda, it's such a pleasure to have you here. Willard, thank you for chiming in as you did earlier. Captain Charles, Lieutenant Commander Scott Seligman, Lieutenant Commander Cosplay Dad, and everybody else who's out there. Just remember, if you do write us, we will probably use your comments on an upcoming episode of Treksploration. And speaking of upcoming episodes, Albie, what's next? What's next?
Well, our next TNG episode will be on Arsenal of Freedom.
No, I thought that's Arsenal of Bijons. Anyway.
Yeah, either one
Yeah.
is good. I'd watch both.
I would like it.
But I think the next time we come to you, we'll be talking about the original series, season 1, episode 2, the way we're doing it, I think production order, where no man has gone before.
Yes.
Can't wait to talk about Gary Mitchell, silver contacts, and who was the chick in that? Sally Kellerman.
Sally
right?
Kellerman, yeah. Hot lips
Yeah,
of
great
Lynn
episode.
herself.
Yeah, I don't want to give it away, but I enjoyed it. And you might like it too, Chris, right?
We'll see.
We'll see.
I gotta tell
I think
you,
that about wraps it up.
yeah, I'm getting anxious. I'm getting anxious.
Brent, you got anything to plug before Chris taps out?
Nope. Yeah.
Linda?
I have nothing to plug. I'm on spring break,
All right.
so I'm not doing
Treksploration.
anything.
Oh, congratulations,
Treksploration.
you and your spring break over there.
Okay. I'm just going to say, everybody, go over and subscribe to Fandom Entanglement, the Sliders podcast on YouTube.
Oh yes,
Link below, so you'll get to see our episode as soon as it drops. Me, Chris, and
Damon and Mike.
and Mike, and it's going to be fun. It was a great time, and if you like long shows, that's a long show, 4 hours. Okay, so for Treksploration, I'm Albie.
I'm Chris.
I'm Brent.
I'm Linda.
And we'll see you next time.
Later, skaters.
The unlimited feeling that you got. See bright lights and laughter with waking the mood. Chris and Albie, let the stories unfold. Tech and tell with the crew so tight. Around the mic, shot so bright. In the group with Chris and Albie, let it flow down the deep in space. Oh, don't you them? Got the jaws on the bridge, it's sight to see. You and never guiding us so free. Watch your own life, we're ready for a ride. Take it to the car, side by side. Feel the rhythm as we move to the beat. And we're World Podcast with King and Beat. Sound waves flowing, we set the stage. Chris and Albie blue widows from every age. Capture Charles, get ready to the cosmic tide. Get our negative love. Time to survive.